Hello. We are here tonight with a kind of an impromptu commentary. Me and Cole. So we're going to be doing Apt Pupil tonight. So it's been a while since we've had a chance to do anything. So I figured might as well.
Yeah, I knew this was
Go
going to be a
ahead.
late night for me, so I figured let's do something if you were going to be around. So,
Yeah. Cool. Cool. How's everybody doing tonight?
hey, this movie is pretty loaded when it comes with talking points and things. It's directed by the infamous Bryan Singer. It
Uh
stars
oh.
the late Brad Renfro. Both stories are fairly depressing, but people already know that stuff. And Grim says, "How do you outlive River?" Well, he outlived River just by being younger. Really, I mean, if he was River's age, he probably would have maybe checked out before him.
He was suicide as well, right?
Neither is technically suicide. They're both, I think, accidental overdoses.
That's what Renfro was too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could still say he outlived him because he lived to 25, and I think River was 23. So maybe he meant that. So yeah, but because we won't get into it too much, but like as I said, you bring up those two figures, Brad Renfro and Bryan Singer. Both of them are representative of the damage Hollywood can do to somebody, and also the way the industry does not really take responsibility for the way people are treated and how they might end up. Bryan Singer as basically an abuser in the system, and Brad Renfro as
That's what I
somebody.
was going to say. Do you think that had any correlation with accidental death?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't think anything can be proven that Singer did anything directly to Renfro, although it's been proven by other people, that he definitely did stuff with other people. I mean, that was definitely his thing and his intention. One of the things that's interesting, like this is different from the book, and I'll talk about how it's different from the book as we go forward. But like, there's a scene that's not in the book because it would be pretty hard to put in, and they have this thing about like him dreaming about showers at a concentration camp, and that's still in the movie, and it's Bryan Singer getting a bunch of underage boys in the shower to shoot a scene. It's like,
Oh man.
yeah, it's interesting when they leave their fingerprints on it like that, right? It's kind of like the second what's it called, Jeepers Creepers movie.
Yeah.
There's a whole scene of like a bunch of the boys, like what is it? They're like a sunbathing on top of the bus or something. They're all,
See, when I
all
saw that to begin with, I didn't know that was before it was like widespread knowledge that
right.
Salvo, like I saw it in the theater. I didn't know Salvo was a pedophile. So I
Yeah,
didn't think anything of it, but watching it
no,
with those glasses on, oh my god, it's
I know,
so painfully obvious.
I know. That's what it's like, right? Because I mean, there's plenty of times where you have like I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. Plenty of times where you have like a movie by a director that has done this or that, but at least in watching the movie, you don't really have to think about it. But then you have something like that where like they're literally like kind of showing us, and like I said, it's not always something necessarily illegal or bad, but it's something that just drives me nuts about Tarantino is him shoving his foot fetish into every goddamn movie. I mean, come on, man. I
Well,
mean,
it's kind of funny
I'm
at this
not trying
point.
to shame you if that's what you're into, but it doesn't have to be front and center in every goddamn movie. But he obviously thinks it does, and I'm, that's not a crime or anything. It's just kind of annoying at this point because he's been doing it for 25 years. But anyway,
Quentin Tarantino.
not trying to
Cool.
compare Tarantino morally to guys that have, sexually abused people or anything. I'm not saying that, but
Yeah, yeah, it was a stretch.
no,
Oh,
I don't.
so this is streaming on Prime for you guys. Sorry, I didn't have time to upload it to the drive or anything, but it is on Prime. So,
Yep, it's
and
on.
also on Tubi as well, I believe. So you can find it to watch somewhere, hopefully.
Yeah. So of course this is based on not a full book. It's the short story of the same name by Stephen King from his collection Different Seasons, which came out in '82. Here's a fairly newish more recent copy from a few years ago of different seasons, because my original copy got beat to shit years ago, was an important series for King because it's really his first major published work after he became, really famous with a string of hit novels that was outside the horror genre. Now these stories all have horror elements to them because this includes the story that the Shawshank Redemption was based on. What is it? Rita Hayworth of the Shawshank Redemption.
Mm-hmm.
The Body, which would become The Stand, and this. All three of the four would get movies, and the fourth, I believe, is called The Breathing Method. And for years, they've talked about making a movie out of that. Although I don't think it's worth making a movie because that's easily the weakest one, and the one that's closest to a horror story. But the other three really display King's aptitude for telling just a really good story. Doesn't necessarily need like a supernatural horror element to it. Because man, I mean, if you actually haven't read Apt Pupil, Apt Pupil is one of the most readable stories out there. Period. It grabs you right off the bat, and it just
It's
comes right down.
it's the best out of the four, in my opinion.
I think so too. And people are like, "Wow, better than Shawshank?" Yeah, I do think so. Shawshank became the better movie, the better adaptation, just like
Yeah.
The Stand. Actually, there's very few instances where I feel like a movie adaptation is better than the source. But I do feel like, and we did do The Stand a few years ago when we did the movie discussion Pocket Dimension episode on. And I do feel The Stand definitely improves on the story of The Body. The Body's great, and you couldn't have not The Stand, Stand By Me. The Stand, of course, is something completely different by Stephen King. But Stand By Me. I love Stand By Me. I think it's better than The Body. This
Yeah.
adaptation, it does a lot of things right, and we'll get into it as it goes, because there's stuff that's in here that's in the original story that's just unfilmable that you wouldn't be able to put in the movie. And then, of course, the big thing when we'll get to it too is how different the ending is. Very different ending.
Somehow it just barely misses being really, really good to me.
Yeah,
It's a good movie. I like it and everything, but it's
it
I
didn't
don't know.
do too well in its
I've never loved it.
no, it didn't do too well in its time. It was kind of a step back from Bryan Singer, who had done a couple movies here and there, and then he had a breakout hit kind of out of
X-Men.
nowhere with no before yeah, I mean this is before that though. His breakout hit was you know The Usual Suspects. That was not expected to
Oh, that
do
was Bryan
anything.
Singer.
That's
Wow.
Brian.
Okay.
That's his breakout. That's what made him a name in the game, and that was a low budget $6 million movie that came out and made I
Great
think
movie too.
made about $70 million. I think it's overrated, but it's a well made movie. But anyway, that was the thing. So anyway, after doing this Usual Suspects, he could do almost anything he wanted. He turned down some high profile stuff because he wanted to make Apt Pupil. He specifically because he'd read it when he was younger and wanted to do it. Apt Pupil itself, like a lot of King properties, hadn't been out that long and was already being considered to be a movie. In the mid '90s, they were going to make a movie out of it, and twice the guys that were going to be cast as the Doosander character, the Nazi, they both died. The first one was James Mason, and the second one was Richard Burton. Both of them were at least semi-attached at one point, and both died before they could even go into production on it. So then the movie basically fell apart in the 80s. Rick Schroeder was attached. He was going to be the kid. But then once again, they didn't have somebody for the Nazi part, and too much time had passed. Schroeder had aged too much, and then it languished. In 1995, same year as Usual Suspects, the copyright or whatever, what's the word I'm looking for? It expired or something. Anyway, King had to sue to get the rights back. And then Singer contacted King himself to ask for the rights to do it. And this was in 95 before Usual Suspects had come out. So when he wrote the letter to King, he included a copy of the movie, Usual Suspects, which wasn't available to the public yet. And King was really impressed by the movie, thought it was a really good movie, and signed the rights over to him for $1 to do the movie because he thought he would get it and do a good job of it. So interesting sort of production history there. It took quite a while.
You don't usually hear King. You don't usually hear positive stories like that about King. Usually you just hear about what an asshole he is, really.
In this case, it all seems pretty positive. King was impressed, wanted him to do the movie, let him do the movie, and then actually liked the movie.
Oh, he liked it. Yeah.
Maybe things changed later on, but at least trying to think here. There were a couple high profile things that he turned down again because he wanted to do the movie. He was lined up to possibly do The Devil's Own. he decided to pass on because he really wanted to do the movie. This is Singer I'm talking about. Wait, there was somebody else though. There was something else too, something even bigger. I had it. Oh, the Truman Show. So Singer was originally offered the Truman Show, and anyway, he turned down both those projects because he really wanted to do Apt Pupil. And yeah, it'd be a few years later that he'd do X-Men, which I guess is fine. I mean, it was important for its time. I don't like anything about it, but
He found his Magneto.
that's true. I hadn't thought about that, but of course that's man, I can't do names anymore.
Ian
McKellen. Sir Ian McKellen. So I mean, we'll get going here, but there's some talk too about like the homophobia, homoeroticism, and stuff like that. How it blends into Nazism and stuff like that. It's all kind of interesting when you consider McKellen himself being a gay actor, Bryan Singer being bisexual. Some context, some subtext there. But anyway, we can start.
I'm seeing a common thread here among some of these. What would you call them? Knuckleheads. We got some knuckleheads.
Oh yeah, troublemakers, knuckleheads,
scoundrels.
Yeah, but I guess we can get going here.
Okay.
Given some good background, we have more to go as we saw, so we'll do a countdown and get the movie going. Cool. So if everyone,
let me get it queued up real quick.
Yeah, no problem. I better do the same because there's always a bit of a delay. Yeah, see, my Prime always wants to play a preview first, so I'm gonna get past that.
Yep. So this is too. This is a preview for something. I don't even know what it was.
So I know I always forget the names. Is this TriStar? It's the one I think where the horse is gonna run or something coming up.
I think it's the. Is it not the Taj Mahal or the King Tut?
I've got like a bunch of like clouds, and I'm pretty sure a horse is going to run out or something. We'll
okay.
See. I got a bunch of clouds. I'm about 5 seconds in.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of clouds.
Oh, clouds. Yeah. See, I was way off.
Well, at least that's what it starts for me. It looks like clouds. I stopped it before it could even really form. I mean, I remember the music. Dun, 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 ba, 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 ba. It's really going to do the musical.
Yeah. Cool. You want to give us a countdown?
All right, we'll do a 3, 2, 1, and after one, not on one, after one we go. So 3, 2, 1, hit it. Still sounds too loud. Yeah, there's the Pegasus. TriStar, yeah.
Pegasus, yeah.
So I do remember some things. The TriStar Pegasus. Do I have subtitles on?
Oh crap! I didn't see mine are on too.
Mine are usually on default. Subtitles have certainly helped me watching The Wire, because some of those characters are difficult to.
Oh yeah, the Baltimore accent is a crazy thing.
I mean, for some of it, I want to say like it's just mispronouncing words, but I feel like if I say that, I'll sound racist, so I'll just leave it. To me, a lot of it sounds like blatantly mispronouncing words, but I'll leave that where it is.
Uh-huh.
All right, so one thing that I wasn't really aware of when I first watched this movie, I don't know why, because you can tell by the way they look. This is set in 1984. The movie came out, I believe, in 98, shot in the late 90s. It was set in 84. I don't think I really got that it was set in 84 the first time I watched it. The original short story starts in 74. One of the things they do is they condense it. The short story takes place over about 3 years. He's only like 13 when he meets him. It goes from when he's about 13 to he's 16. So it goes from the summer of 1974 into, I think, the summer of 1977. Here they condense it. It all takes place in 84, and they age up the kid a little bit. Although Renfro himself was only 14 when he was cast.
What year was this? 98?
Yeah, 98. Same year as American History X, so, big year for Nazi stuff.
Yeah, I was working at the theater when this came out.
Really big year for Nazi stuff when you also consider it was the same year as Saving Private Ryan. So Nazis are all over. New Nazis, old classic Nazis, kids with a fascination for Nazis.
I do remember this not doing well, though. Like, not a
No,
lot
it
of people
didn't.
came to see it.
It did not do well. I
Elias
remember this got
Cortez?
some buzz with kids my age just for how edgy it was. And that's
Really?
kind of how I got into it. I'm pretty sure by the time Ryan and I were watching it in his basement, like I saw a lot of these movies back in the 90s, we'd heard some stuff.
I was expecting it to be edgy. I never thought it was, though.
It can't go as far as the book again.
It's kind of underwhelming, honestly.
Yeah. Because the book is edgy as fuck.
But,
I mean,
but I mean, Brad Renfro and what's his name, Ian McKellen.
yeah.
They're great. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, all
they're
hinges
great,
on them.
great casting. Yeah, I mean,
It's such an interesting story.
yeah, they're the movie, right? So
It's this sort of game of psychological warfare between two sort of sick, twisted minds and how they influence each other. So this doesn't go as far as in the book. And I don't really mind Singer said like one thing, there's this part like later, as you get a bit later. Now there is a part in this movie where I don't want to do Sander, murders a homeless guy played by Elias Koteas. But that's it. Whereas in the book, they both independently of each other and unknowns to each other each start murdering homeless people. And there's actually quite a few. They don't do that in the movie. Singer said he thought it would be a little repetitive and exploitative, and I guess that's fine.
the boy doesn't do that, right? He doesn't murder homeless people.
He does in the book.
Right in the book, though. Yeah.
Yeah, in the book they both do. Yeah. In this, there's only one, and it's not the boy. It's just Doosander. And he just kills the one guy.
Oh, it would have been so much better the other way.
Yeah. But like I said, I read the Singer said he thought it would be repetitive and exploitative. Because that's one of the things is like the cops are sniffing around because there's these bodies piling up of homeless people.
Right.
And at first they think it's one killer, then they realize it must be two different killers. And the interesting part, it says 1984 right there. I don't think I caught that the first time I watched the movie. So, I mean, that works well enough, too. 84 does work a little better because you have to think that by 1998, it would be pretty hard to catch a living Nazi who, I mean, there were plenty of Nazis still around in 1998, but who was higher ranking. Because by 1998, you had plenty of guys who were still alive who had been in the Nazi party and maybe worked at concentration camps, but they would have been young men during that time. The whole thing, backstory here, is that Doosander would have been like 40. And he was, he was a commandant or something. He was an important guy. He wasn't just some guard. So 84 keeps that somewhat believable. Because 98, I mean, to be somebody like Doosander would have to be like 100 years old.
Yeah. Because you didn't exactly have officers that were like, 16 when they were, enlisted.
Right.
Like, the guys we have that are dying off now, they were super young when
they were all young. They were like 20.
Right.
And yeah. But I mean, this is one of King's best characters, is Todd, because he's a young psychopath. And he's just so calculating and smart. I can't remember how much they do in the movie because it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I remember.
Oh, it's what's his name? Fucking Pacey.
Yeah, the kid from Mighty Ducks.
Joshua Jackson.
Yeah. This is right before he became pretty famous. I mean, he was already a Mighty Duck, but I mean, wasn't he on like Dawson's Creek?
I think Dawson's Creek,
yeah.
I didn't watch it, but
I didn't watch it, but that's what made him a big star. I think his character's in Pacey or something like that. I never watched it, but again, it was a big deal. People my age group, and plus it was shot in Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was shot out in Vancouver.
Most stuff is.
Yeah. So some of the other cast members were Canadian. It's the same thing like Smallville was shot out there, and so it had
really?
it had people like Kristen Crook, who was Canadian.
Oh, I didn't know she was Canadian.
Yeah, so they're really condensing the timeline here. And they also, our introduction to Todd is, before he even goes and meets this kid, we already know he's kind of sick because he's got a friend, And I think these did exist in the 70s. In his garage, they were looking for comic books, and they found these like underground kind of like illegal magazines that were full of like pictures of like war crimes from like Vietnam and shit. And he was like really fascinated by that. I think those things did exist. Yeah, I love Nazi hunter stuff, man. Fictional and real. Somebody mentioned the movie Remember, which I've seen.
Hmm.
I've also seen The Good Liar. The one I really like is The Debt. Does anybody remember The Debt?
I've seen The Good Liar though.
Yeah. The Debt's about like Mossad agents, like in the present, like remembering a mission they went on back like in the 60s or 70s, and like a secret they sort of covered up. It's pretty cool, involving chasing a Nazi.
Oh.
Yeah. So what leads him here is originally, he's gonna let him in now. He already knows something, I think. Yeah, Helen Mirren.
Do they age him up here? Because my God, this guy has aged well.
Ian McKellen?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're supposed to make him look. Yeah, see, he already knows. He's already done stuff. Yeah. So right here, again, if they ease into this more in the book, here it's bam. He's already researched him. He knows who he is. He figured it out. It doesn't happen this quickly in the original story, because he's like, I know who you were. And yeah, of course he's.
Does this go the Argentina route?
Uh, in this?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's different in that he came to the States. Didn't mean to scare you. I just really wanted to talk to you. Because yeah, they have weird, twisted moments where they almost like each other, but they can't. Like, and he can never like Todd because he knows Todd's using him and blackmailing him the entire time. And we'll see like how far it gets. You know, he starts ordering him around and making him do stuff. But yeah, see, he's even talking about like dusting for fingerprints. Like he really impresses that he would go this far. Our kid this young. Yeah, so he's saying about, you put dust on my mailbox for fingers? You took photographs of me? Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of person Todd is. You know, I did know who Brad Renfro was because he was in Sleepers, which I love.
Oh, was he one of the young
Yeah,
versions?
Yeah.
It's a great movie. We should do that one day.
Yeah, that's one of my absolute favorite movies. That's one of those movies that like I thought maybe wouldn't hold up and I wouldn't like as much as I loved back in the day, but I still do because I watched it, a few months ago. Fucking love that movie.
That's a fun one.
And honestly, you know how actually in a weird parallel kind of to this is I'll often when I hear from people why they like Shawshank Redemption so much is like they say Shawshank Redemption, like the way everything comes together at the end is like so satisfying, what people say. I feel like that for Sleepers. Even though, Sleepers, the victory is kind of short lived, but in the moment, things do come together really well. It's pretty cool. Sleepers is another one of those not true stories that has probably some truth to it. The guy who wrote it says it was true and always stood by that it was true, but there's not really much evidence to back it up. So it's one of those weird instances where at least some of it's true. Yeah, my parents don't believe in violence. That's another big thing about Todd. It's like I don't know how much they have it in here, but Todd has very liberal, progressive parents that also are very permissive and give him a lot of freedom. And he doesn't give them any reason not to because he's an excellent student and he's got lots of extracurriculars. He's a good athlete and all this stuff. That's why Apt Pupil comes in, right? Like most people, teachers and his parents, they all think of Todd as like the idealistic American boy or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's the key to getting away with it, right? You know,
Yeah, I mean that's what makes his character so scary.
right?
Not only that he's so young and to be so smart and all this, but to like very early understand like how he has to act around people and
True psychopath.
yeah, a true psychopath who understands himself very early on.
Yeah, which seems to be a pretty common thread among psychopaths too.
Yeah, luckily they're rare. But Todd is highly intelligent. Like he maybe some. It's not even all just straight out smarts, but it has to do with being me or being a not evil person. It's like some of the like the steps he takes in this and maybe in that too. Like you're just impressed by his foresight. It's like I don't think that way. But I guess if I had to, I could. Let's see, this is where it gets to. It's like, they won't tell us the real stuff. I want to know. I want to hear about it. No one can tell it better than you can. And that's sort of the other thing that's kind of scary too, is like whenever you watch stuff about the Holocaust or you watch stuff about serial killers, like I get it, there's some morbid fascination and we all have it, but like I am a little disturbed by like how far like some of this goes. Like you see it on social media and stuff now, like people being they'll be like, oh, the Dahmer documentary was good, but they didn't get as like well into the details as I wanted. I'm like, man, how much do you need? Because it feels like they're kind of like more.
Hmm. Have you heard of this one? I am not a serial killer.
I heard the title, but I haven't seen it.
I didn't realize it was Christopher Lloyd.
I didn't either.
Before I forget, have I ever mentioned to you the Let the Right One In series?
I know it exists, but I didn't know you
It's
saw
pretty
it.
good. I
Yeah.
liked it a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Start checking out sociology. But yeah, it's clearly 1984. It's kind of weird that when I watched this back in the day, I thought of it as just contemporary because it is very clearly see, 1 month later, straight bunch of swastikas. This is one of the clunkier things the movie kind of has to do. They haven't drawn swastikas and stuff because like they can't really get in his head the way you can in the book.
Right.
So they have to, because that's one of the things that makes the story so great. Is just how like the story, a lot of it is in Todd's head, and you see what he's thinking, and it's pretty fucked up.
It's
But
almost
fucked up in a way that's
like they didn't need to be fleshed out into a feature. Like 40, 50 minutes would be plenty for this.
well, right. I mean, it's not a full novel; it's a novella. It's pretty fast paced.
Who wrote the screenplay for Shawshank?
Is that Frank Darabont?
Did he write that as well? So he wrote it and directed it. I mean, I know based on Stephen King, or
Yeah.
Stephen King wrote the novel.
Let's see here. Maybe he didn't write the screenplay. Let me see who got the screenplay. Yeah, he did. He did the screenplay too. Yeah, that's what I thought. Frank Darabont did do the screenplay for.
See, that's an amazing adaptation.
Yeah.
I think
You get some good stuff from Renfro here, showing sort of his crazy fascination hearing about it. Because at this point, Doosander is still trying to make it sound like, okay, I did it, but I wasn't into it, type thing. But there's some of his language. Soon they began to twitch all over like they were dancing, talking about dying from the gas. And I tried to watch Castle Rock, but I lost interest extremely quickly.
I saw the first season.
I didn't go that far, maybe 2 or 3 episodes. I feel like almost all like King miniseries start off great. Like the first episode is really grabbing, and it's all downhill. That seems how it goes with most of them. Like I did actually watch the entire, I think it's The Outsider or whatever, and that's a great first episode, and then it just gets
Oh
even more
man, The
boring.
Outsider, like it totally peaks like episode 3.
Yeah,
You got like 5,
it
6
gets
more
less,
episodes of
and it's
just
less and
nothing.
less interesting, and it's
It was
such an
so good at
unsatisfying.
first, though. I
Yeah,
was so on board,
that's
man.
what I
I
mean.
was
The first
like,
that first episode is great. That's what I remember most. That first episode, but what was another one? I tried to watch Mr. Mercedes. Couldn't do that.
is that no good?
I don't know.
Someone recommended that to me as well.
I'm not the right person. Like I said, I don't have much of an attention span for shows and miniseries. I guess. I
Brian
don't stick
Singer
with
making
stuff.
sure to show enough angles of him and his boxer
Boxers,
shorts.
yeah, yeah. There's plenty more to come, people.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, because that's what's interesting. Like one of the things they can't show in the movie is he starts dating this girl who I think is actually Jewish, and that's one thing they actually do downplay in the movie. It's like one of the things is that Todd is openly anti-Semitic in the book. Like he calls them kikes and stuff, and all sorts of stuff, and like he clearly thinks it's great what happened. But then he starts dating a Jewish girl. He starts having these erotic dreams where he's a guard at a concentration camp and she's an inmate and he can like rape her and torture her and stuff. So obviously they can't show that here. So they replace it with his like infamous boys in the shower dream that Singer thought would be better.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, I like the start of The Outsider. I even forgot what Jason Bateman would direct because it's been a few years. But yeah, I really like it. But it goes downhill pretty quick. But I'm not the right person. I don't seem to have the same attention span for them. I just rather read a book.
Oh, there's so much television out there now. So many shows that have came and went, and I didn't even realize they ever came out. Like, oh, that's coming out. Oh, it's already out. It's been out.
All right, but I don't know who he's talking to here. Who are these people he's with?
Oh, that guy's been in a ton of stuff.
That must be Todd's family.
Wait.
Comes from a family of hunters. Oh, Todd never took a shine to guns. So that's interesting too, because Todd absolutely took a shine to guns in the book, and that's the main difference in the ending here, which we'll get to eventually. So Todd is very much into guns in the novella. But yeah, you see Dusander. I mean, he's been playing this act for, at this point, over 20 years. He's very good at what he does.
Does he have an accent?
Yeah, he's got a German accent.
I just couldn't remember. I don't have the sound on at all.
I can't hear it much either, but I remember he has a pretty good German accent. I mean, maybe I'm the best judge. I don't know what a German person might say. I'm just saying, definitely to my ears, he sounds German. Just leave Dark Tower alone.
Dark Tower. Oh, Flanagan's doing a movie of that. And he's really up Stephen King's ass lately. I like Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, I was expecting to not like Dr. Sleep, and I liked it more than I thought. I'm not going to watch it again, but
Did I ever talk to you about the book? I read the book.
Yeah, you sort of did. Yeah, I didn't read the book.
It's fucking awful.
It's too bad.
I've got some pages dog-eared wherever the book is or under somewhere that are like it's one it's typos.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's
It's
not his
it's
fault.
a typo, and then
Typing error.
2 or 3 things in there that don't make sense.
But I mean, there's tons of King I haven't read. I've liked almost all the King I've read. The only Stephen King novel I read all the way through that I truly disliked was Insomnia. God, I hated Insomnia. And years ago, when I was at my parents' house and wound up staying there longer than I thought I was, and I hadn't brought much with me, and I was running out of stuff to read, so I was trying to find stuff. I found the novel Lyce's Story or whatever, and I got about 300 pages into that, and literally nothing had happened. So I finally gave up. Like over 200 pages, nothing happened. It was
Wow.
chapter after chapter of a woman going through her dead husband's boxes, looking at stuff and remembering things, but none of the memories are interesting. Like to this day, I don't even know. I mean, I know that it's like a typical Stephen King novel, and there's some sort of dark supernatural force. I never got to it. I never even got a hint of it. I read chapter after chapter of a woman going through her dead husband's stuff. So I don't even know what eventually she discovers or happens. I have no idea, and I don't fucking care. Obviously, I could find out easily enough. But man, that's the only time I ever like gave up on a Stephen King book. So they're back to
I'd say the movie is better than the book for Dr. Sleep.
We're just a little past 23 minutes here. He's asking him how did it feel.
I do want to see the director's cut though of Dr. Sleep. I think it's available on the DVD version only.
Oh, that's weird.
But it adds like another 45 minutes or something to the already like 3-hour long movie.
I put this sort of in the middle tier of King adaptations. It's not one of the best good ones, but it's far from bad. It definitely has a lot of good things to it. Oh yeah, remember don't they do a thing here like where he like kills a pigeon with the basketball or something? Like that's not in the book, but I guess they were trying to do something to show his. Oh look, he's shirtless again. It's a shirts and skins game.
You know, I don't know that I ever knew this was a period movie.
That's what I said.
With you.
Yeah, I missed that it was from '84.
I mean, there's really nothing that we've seen so far that would really stand out one way or the other. I'm sure maybe the, fashion or something, but I'm not really paying attention,
Yeah. Oh, the first few times I watched the movie, I didn't realize it was in '84. Like I said, it helps the timeline a bit more for Dusander's age and things like that. Because it only moves it forward a little bit. Because in the book, it's from between 74 and 77.
He's like, we got to get a shot of his little ass. God damn.
I know. Normally, I wouldn't think too much of this, but he's just making me feel bad watching it. He's making me feel bad.
Lots of other underage man ass. Real cool. Oh, yeah. We'll make a long scene out of it, too.
Maybe they aren't all underage. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. God, they're all... Ugh.
Yeah, see, so now what? He's going to have like a... It's not even a dream. It's more like a hallucination. Where suddenly he dreams like he's at a concentration camp shower. The emaciated prisoners. So yeah, the misogyny and anti-Semitism is kind of taken out of the movie, which is weird when you think about it, because I mean, we all know who the Nazis were killing, but actually Todd doesn't really talk anything about Jews or anything in this movie.
That's why I idolized him so much, because he killed Jews, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of weird because it seems like Todd is just sick and killing is great, but as I said, they do make it clear in the book that he's at some way picked up those views, Like I said, he calls them racial slurs and things like that. Todd, everyone's gone home. You've been masturbating in the shower for hours.
No. Just leave him alone. He'll stop.
Your hands are all pruny. It's all right, guys. I had that concentration dream again. Go see the guidance counselor, which he does. The guidance counselor is like David Schwimmer.
It is David Schwimmer, yeah.
Which is pretty fucking hilarious. So, country club. So even before he met Todd, I think Dusander was an alcoholic. I think just meeting Todd accelerated it.
Oh, yeah.
There he is, passed out drunk.
He's got to silence his dark passenger.
It's one way of putting it, Dexter. But yeah, I mean, the movie does what it can. It can't really convey the relationship as well, but just sort of how they, they're both bad people, but they bring out even worse, like, thing by, this
But
toxic
he
relationship
doesn't come
they have.
across as bad. Like, what, has the kid done anything bad so far? I mean,
Not so far. But we know we're starting to, in just watching the movie, you're starting to realize that he's capable. Right. That's why people argue about which ending is better and which ending is actually darker. Because one ending ends with a body count and one doesn't. But some people will say the one that doesn't is possibly darker just because it leads a possibility of something in the future, I guess. Singer's own comments on the ending was like, he said to King himself, like, I couldn't do that ending justice, so I just changed it. Well, I mean, I guess that's one way of saying it.
That's a cop-out, man.
It seems like a cop-out to me, too.
Because again, the whole movie is the ending,
Yeah.
Or, I mean, the whole story, I mean.
And at least in 1998, you probably could have done it. A few years later, after all the school shootings and shit, they'd be like, you are not having that ending. I don't care how dark a movie this is with Nazi stuff. You are not having that ending.
That movie, like when that was going on, like tons of movies got shelved. If they had anything to do with shooting or kids or schools, anything like that.
Yeah. Early 2000s, think of all the stuff that changed because of school shootings and because of like 9/11. So many of those things got changed in movies and TV and things. Like, the fucking Spider-Man movie. Remember the first preview we ever saw for the Spider-Man movie has like him capturing guys at the Twin Towers. Like, nope. Yeah, so here's the part where he's bought him the uniform and is making, this seems too fast. He's already getting him marching in the uniform. Man, this moves fast.
Now put it on, butthole.
Again, this is hard for an actor because in the book we get some of like Dusanders' thoughts, how he feels putting it on, and like he thinks about the inaccuracies in the uniform, but still how it all starts to bring the memories back and stuff. Like, we can't get internal monologue or anything, so we have to just follow the actors, what they're doing. I mean, Ian McKellen's pretty damn good.
What year did they stop doing Pop Tops?
What's Pop Tops?
The soda can there was a Pop Top, like where the
right,
where it pops off instead of.
I don't know, probably late 80s.
Because I don't remember using one.
Yeah. What I'm drinking right now, I have to use the opener thing on it. I shouldn't be drinking Coke at all, but my compromise is just getting little tiny 6-packs of these. Because, man,
Oh, yeah, those are like, 8 ounces or something like that?
Just like my stomach problems came back with a vengeance a few weeks ago. My worst throwing up of my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you about that sometime. Ryan was actually here. I sent him home. Because I was sick.
Oh, wow.
So I backslid. Because that was one of the things, like, the last couple of years, like, coming out of COVID, I was backsliding on my eating. My eating habits were getting bad again. I was eating too much greasy food, drinking too much carbonated stuff. So I had to get back to my, like, 2018, 2019 routine where I wasn't drinking carbonated stuff and was eating better food. Here we go. Here comes the marching. This, of course, was featured heavily and prominently in the previews. I remember the previews pretty well for this.
Well, he's like, I bought this uniform off of eBay. I want you to wear it.
I assume you can buy shit like this off eBay because it's not real, right? Like, this is not an authentic uniform. So, is there any ban on selling a fake
Oh, I'm
Nazi
sure people
uniform?
would have a problem with it.
Hmm. I mean, people that like privately collect Nazi stuff, you know, they're messed up. Like, why
Really?
would you want to
I
keep?
mean,
Why would you want to keep it?
I guess it depends on why you collect it. I mean, if you collect it because you like the movement or whatever, or like the party.
But I can't think like if that's not your feelings, why would you want to keep it? I don't believe in destroying history. I'm not saying throw it in an incinerator, but I'd be like I would give it to like a museum or some historical society. I wouldn't want it in my fucking house.
That's not my thing. I wouldn't want it, but I could understand someone wanting it. I mean, it's kind of not really something you can display, you know?
Well, that's what I mean. Like imagine like you know somebody. I don't
I
know.
wouldn't
Come, in,
care. I
come
think
into
it would
this.
be
They're
cool.
like come into this room and they show you like
Yeah.
Nazi banners and stuff.
I mean,
What are
people
you
will
supposed
definitely
to
form
think?
an opinion about you immediately. You know,
Well, that's
you
what I
just,
mean. But what are you supposed to think? All right. So here's Becky. She was Betty in the book.
yeah.
Yeah, she's Becky. This is a weird move they do too in movies where, of course, like especially if you're dealing with underage characters, and since rape is so touchy, this I've seen this sort of cop out before. Look, they did a similar thing, and I'm not even saying it's wrong, but what's happening here is like he's been having dreams of like raping her, right? In the book, they don't have that in all in this. And their weird little compromise in this is they have it like they're gonna have sex and he can't perform. I don't even know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. But they do a sort of similar thing in the second. What is it? We don't have time to get into the whole thing and unpack, but the second Kick-Ass movie. In the comic that the second Kick-Ass movie is based on, there's the character Night Bitch, and or not Night Bitch. I mean, there is a character Night Bitch, but anyway.
That's a great name.
So in the first, this is how mean. Okay, you don't remember, but anyway,
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna start
remember.
over. I hate Mark Miller, okay? I think Mark Miller is one of the worst comics writers working today. He's the one who invented Kick-Ass. Most of his stuff is mean-spirited and shit, as far as I can tell, and I think Kick-Ass is no exception.
Yeah.
And they lighten up his stuff in both Kick-Ass movies. The main thing they lighten up in the first Kick-Ass is that girl he likes, like, totally starts going out with him, and they start doing it all over the place. Where in the comic, like, not only does she mock him and hate him, she does such stuff as like send him like video on her phone of her blowing her boyfriend, right? In the second part, which is the part the second movie's based on, the bad guy character played by that weird goofball McLovin, right? He like straight up rapes her, right? That's what he does. He rapes her. In the second movie, they don't have her character, so they replace it with Night Bitch, who is one of the good vigilantes that's friends with Kick-Ass. And in the movie, he tries to rape her and can't perform, and everyone laughs at him. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying what's better because I don't like Kick-Ass because it is too dark and it's too mean spirited.
Was Night Bitch like goth?
No, she was just
God damn
some
it!
chick.
I don't remember.
She had like purplish. I think she had like purple hair. But she's in the movie. She and Kick-Ass are doing it all the time. And there's a scene where she gets attacked in her home by Red Mist or whatever his name is, in the thugs, and he's like, now you're gonna get a taste of evil dick, or what evil dick tastes like, which is a line from the fucking comic. But instead of raping her, he can't perform, and everybody kind of laughs at him. And I get here, yeah, into the oven, kitty. Things have escalated quickly while we were talking about Mark Miller. Oh, the cat actually got away. See, once again, cat does not get away in the book. So they're really trying to lighten things up a little here. He really tried to kill the cat, but the cat got away.
Yeah, I'm glad the cat got away.
Oh, I know. I hate animal cruelty.
Man,
maybe one of the cats, maybe the first cat gets away, but I know at least one cat does not get away in the thing. So it's always interesting when you're taking something really dark and putting it on screen and trying to lighten it up a bit. And as I said, when it comes to fucking Mark Miller's work, I don't give a shit because I can't stand Mark Miller. The only thing Mark Miller ever did that I thought was okay was Civil War, and it's not even great. It's fine. That's the Marvel Civil War, which they kind of really shittily shortly adapted for the movies.
1983, the last ring pull cans produced in the USA.
So I guess that was yeah. So there is this is part. This is in the book too. His grades are starting to slip.
Gotta see because I'm thinking about Nazis and pussy all the time.
I mean, you like Nemesis? I think Nemesis is the epitome of everything that is wrong with Miller. I think that's his worst. That's his worst, Ben. Fuck you. No, I'm not kidding. But it is his worst, definitely.
I tried not to get
it's
going on
mean-spirited
this.
fucking garbage, man. Oh, Nemesis is his worst. He's done all sorts of terrible shit, but Nemesis is the worst. Absolute worst. It's just plot hole ridden. Ugh, makes me sick.
What's up, Andrew? And Mikey's in the chat as well. What's up?
Yeah, I think this is going to be the scene where he's going to kill a pigeon, which is not in the book, but they got to do something. Yeah, so this is where things are starting to come apart. He's mad. His grades are slipping. His parents are getting on his ass. So we get to see a little bit of Todd's rage bubbling up.
Josh Jackson was also in some movie. He was stranded out in the woods for a while.
I don't know.
When he was a kid, younger than this.
The only thing I know younger than this is Mighty Ducks. Yeah, here we go. The poor pigeon. So the cat didn't get the cat got away, but the pigeon will not get away. They don't show it. Well, I mean, if you like the first book, I guess you'll like the rest. I'm not saying it suddenly got bad. I think it was every fucking panel was bad. So that's just my take on it. My take isn't like, oh, it starts off pretty good and then it gets bad. No, mine is it's all bad. There was a great moment. I've only been to like 2 cons in my life, and I was at a PalCon in 2013, and the late great I can't remember anybody's fucking name. Hold on. Darwin Cook. Darwin Cook was there, and I did get to meet him later. I talked to him and Larry Hama. And what's funny about that is, like, I love Larry Hama. You know, he did all sorts of great stuff, G.I. Joe comic, Wolverine. But I kind of wound up having to ignore him because I was talking so much to Darwin Cook. But at least Larry Hama's still alive, so I still had a chance to talk to him. But anyway, Darwin Cook was doing this panel, and he was talking to people. I came in late. I missed most of it. People were asking him questions. And at the time, this was 2013, and they were doing the Before Watchmen the series, the Before Watchmen series is. And he did one of them. He did Minutemen, which I have, and actually got him to sign the first issue for me. But anyway, they did various Watchmen prequel comics, which, of course, people were going to have mixed feelings about whether you should do that, right? And somebody asked him, not exactly that, but somebody just sort of, New Frontier is the epitome of awesome. I have the big deluxe hardcover now, but he also signed. I had originally in the 2 small trade paperbacks. I'll get them in a minute, actually. But anyway, somebody just had asked him, what's it like approaching, using somebody else's characters, blah, 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 like that, right? Because, this Alan Moore stuff, what's it like, right? And he's, he says the usual spiel about how, like, you want to treat these things with respect, but you still want to be able to bring your own thing to it, because that's kind of how it goes in comics, right? People are always using characters, Spider-Man, stuff like that. But there's a part where, like, he doesn't name Mark Miller. But he says, you don't want to wind up being like some shitty dumbass, or like he says, like shark jumping asshole that has the Incredible Hulk running around with a boner, screaming about how he wants to fuck, and that's real. That's from fucking the Ultimates from the Ultimate Comics, the Ultimates for the Ultimate version of the Avengers, written by Mark Miller. Incredible artwork by Brian Hitch, horrible writing by Mark Miller. Most of the Ultimates is like this. What if the Avengers were all horrible, unlikable people that are just this much better than the bad guys they fight? Let's see that. Let's see Captain America be a complete fucking prick, and that's what it is. And that's one of the things that's going on. There's this whole thing. It's the early 2000s. They're really trying to set it in real life. It's very clear that George W. Bush is the president and stuff like that. So there's this whole thing where, like, he's hulked up and he's mad that his girlfriend, Betty Ross, who has dumped him, is going out with Freddie Prinze Jr. So Hulk is rampaging across the city talking about how he's going to destroy and smash Freddie Prinze Jr., but also about how much he wants to, like, fuck Betty. So that is the reference that he was making about him being a shark-jumping asshole, ruining the Hulk. That always stayed with me. Well, yes, Ultimate Nick Fury was good, and that's where we got the only thing that's wrong with that is how, like, when something is good in the movies, they try to then shoehorn that into the main comics. Because only a few years later, in the 616, which is not Ultimate, right? They were like, you know what, Black Nick Fury is so popular, we're gonna just throw him in there in a different way. We'll just be like, Nick Fury had a black son that nobody knew about, and here he is. Okay. Oh, there's David Schwimmer. I mean, I like both Nick Furies. I like original Nick Fury. I like Ultimate Nick Fury, who, of course, was directly inspired by Samuel Jackson. He says it in the comic, and then it's kind of cool that years later they got Sam Jackson to play movie Nick Fury. That's all cool. I'm not against that. But I'm not saying everything Mark Miller did was terrible, but most of it, yes. Yeah, he's easily, as far as, like, popular there's other comic people I could pick on, too. But as far as, like, popular, successful comic book authors that I can't stand, Mark Miller, baby. All right, so this is where he gets him to come in and pose as his grandfather, so that his parents don't find out about how bad his grades are. Because again, he's got him over a barrel; he can make him do what he wants.
Right.
Yeah, I own Miles Morales' first ever appearance. It might be worth something now, I guess. It's in Ultimate Fallout number something. Anyway, his first appearance is pretty funny. He fights a villain called the Kangaroo. So yeah, I don't own many valuable comics because I've only been a series collector for the last 20 years. Not a lot of valuable stuff has come out in that time. But I do have Miles Morales' first appearance, so that's gotta be worth something. Yeah, so he's here. What's interesting is I don't know how much they show it in this, but, like, he holds into this deal. Like, he takes it seriously. Like, he's like, I'm going to blackmail you. You're going to pretend to be my grandfather and come in and convince this asshole so that my parents don't know about my grades. I don't know what they do here, but in the book, he takes it seriously. He seriously does make him study. When he comes over, Deusander makes him study. And he takes a certain amount of pride when his grades improve. It's really interesting. Like he says, you get B's and C's. You have to nail it, and he does. He has to be almost perfect. He has to start he has to pull his grades up a ridiculous amount, and he's really pissed about it. But Deusander hammers him and makes him do it. I think that is in this. It's 1984, so I guess a guidance counselor with that kind of mustache is no red flag.
That guy looks like he's about to touch all the kids.
I mean, now he looks like a stock photo. If
him with the mustaches,
if you were like typical pedophile,
give him those glasses.
There's your Getty's image, and that's what, of course, they go on. That's the ending, right? That's the ending that they're gonna go with, where he accuses him. Where in the book, he just fucking shoots him.
We just need to put that picture up so they stay away from guys that look like this.
Yeah. Now this meeting is a bit longer than I was expecting. There you go.
I want to see David Hasselhoff eat a cheeseburger off the floor with an eye patch on.
He'll do it. was always interesting when you look back on some of these comic book characters, because a lot of comic book characters, their look is based on like a famous actor, even if it's not necessarily supposed to evoke the actor themselves. When it came to Ultimate Nick Fury, it wasn't just to look like Sam Jackson, but his manner was very much like sort of classic Sam Jackson. But then you have something like when John Constantine, it's Constantine, not Constantine, people. John Constantine, when he was invented, he's not supposed to be like Sting, but he was drawn to look like Sting. So if you go back to his earliest appearances in Swamp Thing and Hellblazer in the '80s, he's drawn and he looks like Sting. It's pretty clever.
Sting, the wrestler?
No. Sting, the
Sting.
musician. From the
Okay.
Say this predates Sting, the wrestler.
So it looks like Sting, really?
Yeah, that's what John Constantine looks like in his early
I
things.
did not know that.
He looks like Sting in a trench coat. Like, picture classic 80s Sting and put him in a trench coat, and that's John Constantine.
And there we go. Keanu Reeves nailed it.
Yeah.
Looks exactly like Sting.
That just shows. Yeah. That movie's still kind of fun, as bad as it is in a lot of ways.
I want to like it, but I don't. They've been talking about doing a sequel for years.
I know. With him, like keeping him.
Yeah. With, I think, a few of the characters. A few of the actors come back.
They made him a woman in the Netflix adaptation of Sandman. Which, I mean, I don't care.
Was that any good? I started to watch that and I never got around to it.
Yeah, so we actually had this conversation back when it came out, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I just couldn't get interested in it.
It's
Like
Neil Gaiman, right?
Yeah, and they follow it fairly closely. The main difference is they sort of shuffle some events around. Like sometimes things happen in a different order, but they follow that whole first arc pretty closely. And I mean, the casting is pretty good. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't in the right frame of mind. Like I didn't have any problems with it. I just, I watched about 6 or 7 episodes and I didn't finish.
Yeah. Typical.
He never looked like Keanu.
Really.
But I mean, I think I will eventually go back and they got a second season of Sandman, didn't they? I think they did.
I'm not sure.
It was greenlit, so either it happened or it got on hold or something. Anyway, I should go back because I didn't have any problems with it. It was all pretty good. I guess I just wasn't in the right mood for it.
Is that Netflix?
Yeah, that's Netflix.
American
Gods.
Gods.
I watched all of American Gods. American Gods is good.
Is it?
It's helped by the fact that like I think the book is fine, but I'm not like a massive fan of the book like some people are. So like I didn't have to hold the show up to like a crazy high standard. But again, they're pretty good at keeping things pretty close. Like when it comes to Neil Gaiman, I own most of his books, but I really do like his comics more than his books. Yeah, so this is the whole thing about the letter. I think how he's written a letter and has it in a safety deposit box and stuff. So he's finally starting to flip things on Todd a bit because Todd's, been in control this whole time, but now things have flipped. He's got dirt on Todd and he's got his balls.
He knows. He knows.
I mean, Constantine should be its own show, more so than a movie. Like those early like Hellblazer arcs would easily lend themselves to a pretty good show.
Yeah.
If they ever wanted to do it. So I've ignored the movie a bit. We're at about 51 minutes and 30 some seconds. Runtime here.
I think Todd's a lot more intimidating in the book.
Oh yeah,
because he would just be afraid he would shoot him, right? He's not going to pull out, blackmail this early on.
Well, I mean, again, it's Todd's ability to sort of think ahead and plan and things that makes him dangerous. I mean, the whole point is by the ending, everything has just become unraveled. So he thinks, "Fuck it, I'll just kill as many people as I can because I'm a sick bastard." In this, it's different. Todd keeps it together better.
Is this the same uniform as before, or is this like a real one?
This is still the same one. He, of course, doesn't have a real one. He wouldn't keep anything like that if he ever had.
Yeah.
This is the fake one. So yeah, now he's starting to put on the fake one of his own volition, which is interesting. Yeah, so I guess that's Elias Koteas. Maybe. One. Because, yeah, in the movie, he only kills one guy. He invites him to his house. And Todd helps bury him and stuff. In the book, he kills several, and Todd, independently, having no idea, also kills several. They do things differently. Todd goes out and hunts them and kills them, whereas he lures them back to his house and kills them. But one thing that's not in the movie at all is like there's this area down like the train track. Well, anyway, there's some like remote area where Todd like goes out and kills homeless people. But that's not in the movie.
In what form? Another movie?
I love The Crooked Man, but how is that a movie? The Crooked Man is a really good story. It just doesn't. It's one of my favorites, actually. It's so small and intimate. It doesn't feel like a movie. Usually movies are like big and stuff. Crooked Man seems more like it should be like an episode of The Twilight Zone than a movie. It has that kind of feel.
It should be in the M. Night Shyamalan universe.
Oh God, no.
There's a twist. You'll never guess.
Ooh, it's a studying montage. Those are always great. This concludes our week on the Holocaust. See, I don't think that happens either. I don't think Todd actually in the book is at any point like in history class learning actively about the Holocaust. I think they're just being a little on the nose with that here. I really love Crooked Man. That's one of my favorites. Actually, if you go back a million years ago, Daniel, you can find me doing a review of that on my channel. I reviewed The Crooked Man like more than probably 10 years ago in some primitive video of mine. Still up. I never got rid of my old videos, even though nobody watches them. Yeah, I did The Crooked Man. Speaking of stuff like that, hold on, I'm going to grab a couple things.
Jack Kessie. I don't know who that is. Oh, he was on The Strain.
Wireless headphones are cool because I can hear you when I go out the other room.
Oh, could you hear it the whole time?
Yep, these are pretty
Sorry,
good.
I wasn't
No, that's
talking
fine. It's
too
good.
much.
Like I said, it kept me in the loop. Here's The Crooked Man. Crooked Man and others.
Oh, let me bring you up here.
This is one of my favorite Hellboy stories, but it's really low key, which would make for a really odd movie. It's a very low key, quiet story. It's one of the few Hellboys that takes place in the United States. I like it. It's down like in the fuck is it? But it's like backwoods Appalachia. It's its whole thing. It's that kind of stuff. It's based on those sorts of myths and folklore. Like a witch ball. He talks about how he looked up like the witch ball was an actual thing that people believed in back then in those traditions. And being a Hellboy story, of course, it's set in the past. This is in 19 Does it say 58? It's hard to tell in this light. But anyway, here's the big, very nice. I would recommend, unless you want to go to the highest level. Of course, you could get the what are they called? The Absolute Edition of New Frontier. But here is the deluxe hardcover, which has all the same stuff. It's a little easier.
Oh, that thing's huge.
Absolute editions are even bigger than this. So
Oh.
that's why this is what I'd recommend, because the Absolute editions are massive. But this has, all the extras in it. But anyway, years before this came out, and when I met Darwin Cook, had them in these smaller ones. So as you can see, there's Darwin's signature in his silver Sharpie.
Oh, cool.
And also there. He did that for my first issue of Minutemen as well, but I can't dig that out. But graphic novels are a little easier for me to access than the individual comics. Otherwise, I'd show you Ultimate Fallout number whatever the fuck it is with Miles Morales too. But it's kind of hard for me to access individual comics. I'd be out hunting for them. Actually, I've got a whole bunch of boxes out right now because once again, I'm trying to rearrange stuff. I got to slow down my comic intake. It's getting out of hand. I got to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, Darwin Cook, he was. I was very lucky to. There's all sorts of people I wish I could meet. Maybe hope I will. But he's the one I got to spend the most time with, and he was great to talk to. Because I remember, I was apologizing for bringing. And he's like, "You got it, I'll sign it." So that was really nice. So my only regret is I wish I could have talked to Larry Hama a bit more. But maybe someday I'll get the chance to talk to Larry Hama because he's cool too. Speaking of Larry Hama, I have that Silent Snake Eyes issue of G.I. Joe from back in the 80s. That's a pretty famous issue. If people don't know, there's an issue in the original G.I. Joe run from the 80s featuring Snake Eyes, and it's an entirely silent issue. It doesn't have any dialogue or word captions at all. It's just all art. It's a pretty cool issue.
Did you ever see that movie?
G.I. Joe?
Snake Eyes movie.
Oh, yeah. No, but I meant to. It was on my list for a long time. I guess I lost track of it. I remember I liked the second G.I. Joe movie, which had a long Snake Eyes sequence, and I know it's the same actor playing him in the movie, so I certainly would have watched it.
I didn't hate it, I gotta say.
I always like Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Who doesn't like ninjas?
Yeah, Storm Shadow's in it too.
Yeah, it's his nemesis. I have a nice Storm Shadow figure, although his backpack thing is broken. It's not a backpack, it's the thing, the scabbards for his swords. It keeps breaking off. I've glued it twice. That's not a really old classic one. That's from maybe 15 years ago. I got a 2-pack with Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I kept Storm Shadow and I gave Snake Eyes to Ryan.
Do you remember when they had a whole line that had grappling hooks?
Oh, yeah.
That was a whole big... that was... Grappling hooks were huge for a little while, in the, late 80s, early 90s.
Back in that era, I had Transformers and G.I. Joe. They were my toys. I've still got a ton of them. Unfortunately, most of them aren't in good condition at all. Lost their accessories and things like that. I've tried to make up for that in the last 2 years by buying new Transformers, which, again, another thing that's gotten out of hand. Have to stop. Don't have the room for it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm throwing money away. Here's a nice one right here. This is Studio Series 86, based on the 86 movie. So here's Ironhide, who you might remember very famously dies in the movie. It's kind of funny because it says on his box, it talks about his scene. Hold on, his box is actually right here, so it's kind of funny. His box. I'll go back here, and it says big screen inspired. Yeah, we know that from the scale, but it actually says something about the scene doesn't. There's something here anyway. I can't remember. It's too dark for me to read, but it just says something about the scene, but it doesn't actually mention that he dies. It talks about the heroic shuttle scene. I'm yeah, the shuttle scene where Megatron executes all the Autobots. You want to talk about a movie that I was too young for, but if I was a few years older, I'd be among that generation that would have been scarred forever by that movie. Imagine being
Yeah.
a Transformers fan and watching 2 seasons of a show with robots shooting at each other, but everyone's okay. Then you watch a movie and half the cast, including the leader, are just killed.
Yeah.
Suddenly, shooting them kills them. But and I mean, his is the worst death of all because he's still kind of alive, and Megatron goes such heroic nonsense and like caps him execution style close up. Poor old Ironhide.
Oh yeah, a lot of people. That's like they cried when Optimus Prime died.
Right. But I mean, he's not the only death in that movie. They had to make room for the new characters and toys, right? So they just offed a whole bunch of them. Ironhide didn't make the cut. It's another thing
I
is
don't think
from
I
that.
cried. I was so surprised though.
Yeah, see, I was too young to see the movie in theaters, so but see, the show was over by the time I was watching it. Like by '87, the show was over. But for
Oh
like
yeah.
the next 3 years, I just saw those 3 seasons over and over again on TV, right? And all I knew was something crazy happened between the second and third season. But I didn't see the movie for like a few years later until it was on video somewhere, right? So, and if you watch episodes from the third season, often they would end and there would still be time left over, and the narrator would talk about stuff, and they would even show stuff that happened in the movie. Like there's a really like that pivotal part where, you know, Hot Rod turns into Rodimus Prime, and and wins the fight against Galvatron, throws him out of Unicron. Like I saw that scene for years, not knowing where it came from because I hadn't seen the movie. Uh,
hmm You know why it was only 3 seasons, right?
they didn't know what to do with that fourth season, right? Like there is technically a fourth season, but it's only a couple episodes. They disagreed on what to do with the headmasters because if you watch the headmasters miniseries, which encapsulates the fourth season, there's this whole thing where they go to another planet and there's these human-like races that are fighting, and the whole idea of the headmasters there is they bond with the robots and they're the ones that turn into the heads and stuff. But if you watch the Japanese series, which continues it, like it's completely different. So the show did continue, just not here. It continued in Japan. I don't have the Headmaster series, but I do have the weirdest of the three because there's Headmasters, there's Victory, and there's Super God Master Force. I have Super God Master Force, the Shout Factory release, and my is bonkers. I love it. Master Force.
Super God Master Force. Wow.
Yeah, that's actually right in. There you go.
That sounds like an actual translation.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, another little rabbit hole to go down to is like why you wouldn't put this on American TV with that title, right?
Right.
Because people over here are really touchy about God, the word God, right? Christians is what I mean. Christian people, they don't want the word God thrown around. Whereas in Japan, they use God all the fucking time. Well, like,
Wait.
who's that? Who's that guy? There's this guy, like Orc would know him because he's like the most famous like Street Fighter guy ever. Like, by which I mean like player. Like, there's this guy. His nickname is
Oh, I
God.
have no idea.
His nickname is God. That's his nickname. If you want to do the comics thing, you know, who is the most like influential and famous artist in American comics? It's probably Jack Kirby, right? Jack Kirby, who created Captain America with Joe Shuster and did all that stuff with in the '60s with Stan Lee, the Fantastic Four, and all that stuff. Jack Kirby. He was Jack the King Kirby. He was the king of comics. That was his name. But if you go to manga and you go to Osamu Tezuka, what was he? He's the god of manga, you know. But nobody would ever say God over here. I even had a little taste of that. And this is the only time in my entire life. There's Alaska tell you something. The only time in my entire life that I ever tried to rent a game and couldn't because I was a kid. I was slaying over at my friend's house. It was 1997, and his mother drove us to the video store, and we tried to rent the N64 fighting game War Gods, right? And they wouldn't let us because technically it was an 18 game. So we went in and got his mom, and she could have rented it for us. But she was like, I don't like the sound of that, and it's kind of got a blasphemous name. So we couldn't rent it. She didn't like that name, War Gods.
Oh wow. I've, I've I don't know. That's never even occurred to me.
Yeah. Like I said, people over here to this day are touchy about the word God, but not in a place like Japan. They throw God around all the time. No, I didn't see the Beast Wars movie, although I wanted to. I didn't see anything. I've seen nothing. In 2023, I've seen like 2 movies, like back in like January, February. I've seen nothing. I've missed everything. I haven't been to the theater since like March. I haven't seen shit. Even though there's a lot of stuff, including Indiana Jones, that I wanted to see. Didn't get to see any of it.
Yeah, I've missed a lot of stuff too.
I mean, I've gotten to see some stuff. Like Dan has sent me some links to stuff. Like I watched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie the other night. I was expecting to hate it, but I actually liked it quite a bit. Mutant Mayhem.
Mm.
I thought for sure I was going to hate it, but no, it was mostly good. I mean, I did have issues with some of it, but I actually was surprised how much I did like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's Elias Koteas. So it's weird because he's giving him a chance to get away here. I know something about you. I can't remember any of this. I thought he just brought him home and killed him, but what's going on?
Same with the hockey stick or a tennis racket.
Speaking of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's Casey Jones, yeah. Who is not in the Mutant Mayhem movie, but I figure he'll be in the sequel.
The character's not? Wow, that sucks.
Well, pretty much everybody else is. Fucking Mondo Gecko is in the movie.
I saw they got all the baddies in there, right? Like all the villains.
Well, they were right about calling Mutant Mayhem. It's mutant focused. Like one of the main reasons I have an issue with
cool.
it. They're kind of doing the thing that the Nolan Batman trilogy sort of established was you do your origin movie, then you get to your classic villain. You know, you watch Batman Begins. It's only at the very end where they get the Joker card. It's the same thing here. Like the movie, they have their own fight, and then at the end, it's like the Shredder's coming. You know, spoilers, I guess, kind of. Although people know that Shredder's not the bad guy in the movie, or maybe they don't. But it's clear that he'll be the bad guy in the next movie. And that's my main issue with the movie. For everything I liked about the movie, my main problem with the movie is Splinter. I don't care that it's Jackie Chan, that's fine. It's that, you know, in the original comic, and I also believe the first live-action movie, you know, Splinter was a rat who was Master Yoshi, or whatever his name is, pet, right? And then he became the rat, and he, you know, carried on his legacy, and they had that... And then in the TV show, the original TV show, they had him be him himself. He wasn't his.
He was the man that the ooze did that, right? The ooze turned him into a rat.
Yeah, and both are fine in that they have that link. This rat, Splinter, has no link. He's a New York rat, and that's the thing that's annoying. When he trains them in ninjutsu, it's funny, but it's also kind of lame. And then all they did was like watch a bunch of like movies and instructional videos.
He like learned it from the Wu-Tang.
Yeah, there's no actual. Clan? That's what I mean. There's no actual link to a Japanese ninja clan at all. So they're bringing the Shredder in for the next movie, but he has no link to Splinter or them, which seems weird. Because I mean, yeah, I know it's just a blatant Daredevil ripoff, but that was the point of the comic. They didn't know the comic was going to turn into what it was. How could they possibly? They just made a weird, funny animal comic that was a parody of stuff, including Daredevil, and it just blew up into this massive, crazy...
Can you imagine? Well, I think it's just one of them now. I think the other one's out of it, but...
Yeah, he bought himself out years ago. I can't remember which one. It's Eastman and Laird. I can't remember which one left.
Yeah, whichever one. The bald one, I think it's the one still in it. Fuck, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say he's still just racking up money, man. Like, I mean, merchandise. I mean, pretty much nonstop since, you know, the show and the toys came out, then the movie. You know, they've just been. I mean, it's been constant. You know, they keep bringing it back. You know, every.
It's one of the craziest success stories you could ever have. If you have two, you know, comic book artists just fucking around. They make their own studio. It's called Mirage Studio because that's the joke, because it's not really a studio. It's them working out of a living room. Right. And they make an independent comic that becomes really successful, then more successful. And it's like, I can't believe how successful this indie comic is. And then it's like a show, and then, you know, and then it's just a phenomenon. I mean, probably that first burst in the late 80s, early 90s will never really be recaptured. But even at its lowest, you know, that's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, they've rebooted it many times. There's many different shows. There's many different things and
And I'll be honest with you, I haven't really liked many, many of them at all.
I haven't either. Like I said, I was expecting to not like this one, but I mostly like it. That's my main issue. I don't like that Splinter has no connection to like Master Yoshi or Arasaki or whatever his name was, and there's no actual link to
Well,
Japan.
yeah, of
And that
course.
all their stuff was just learned secondhand. It's pretty funny because they actually, it's an anime movie, but they show actual scenes from like some classic kung fu movies. But it's also tied in with weird stuff like Tai Bo and stuff like that. Like it shows, we learned all this shit off the screen, which I mean, I think cheapens a little bit, right? Because in other versions, they always
That
learned from a real ninja master, whether he was a ninja master's pet rat or he was the ninja master himself. In this, they just learned secondhand.
all of that you just told me pisses me off.
That is the main issue with the movie.
That's
There are
yeah.
other good things about the movie. Like I thought I'd find them annoying. They're not. They're quite endearing. The characters. Um, it has really good use of music. It's quite funny. So
Why did they make April a little lesbian?
I don't know because it hadn't been done before. I don't know. I mean, April's been rebooted and changed a bunch of times too. So this time they're like, try this. She's not too bad either.
I don't think I'm gonna watch it.
I actually really liked it, but that, like I said, that's the main issue. The whole Splinter thing. Like to me, that cheapens it. The idea that they weren't learning from a real like ninjutsu martial arts tradition. That it was just a bunch of wannabe stuff they learned on screen.
That's so stupid.
I don't know why they would do
That's
that.
so fucking dumb, man. Ah, oh, they keep fucking stuff up.
Apart from that, it's still quite watchable. But yeah, that's hard to get past. I can't really get past it either. All right, so he's finally killed the fucking guy. I can't believe how much they drew out this whole thing of him killing the homeless guy. So here's calling him to help bail him out of this, and he has to bury him in the basement. I'm having a heart attack.
And the one kid, fucking Donatello, sounds like he's 4 years old.
He does sound much younger than the others, but
God damn it. I hate all of this shit.
It wound up working. Like I said, I didn't think watching previews I'd like it, but in the movie it all works for me. Not all, I mean, but that. Like I don't have a problem. Actually, Leonardo's really good.
Because I'm a Donatello, and I don't like the little boy playing Donatello, who apparently has no skills at all.
They hint at what's to come, I guess. Like he's definitely the nerdy one. You're not gonna. I like a lot of the references. You probably won't, because they're constant. Like it makes sense. Like the whole point was like this whole time, they've been shut down in the sewers, and all they have is like TV and movies and shit, right? So they're constantly like spouting out like TV and movie references. But to me, it actually sort of fits. And like at one point, like Donatello reveals himself to be a big fan of Attack on Titan, which I never even watched, but I do think that's funny.
Because he's a nerd.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. I thought for sure the whole time I was watching that Mondo Gecko was Andy Samberg, but it's Paul Rudd.
Oh,
I don't know if that's better or worse or what.
there's it's a lot of names in there.
The weirdest part is now I know Seth Rogen's like more than just a voice. He's like was one of the writers and producers and shit. Isn't it weird though that Seth Rogen, this is the second time he plays a warthog? Who else has a career like that?
What else was Sonic? What else was he a warthog in?
The Lion King remake. He was Pumbaa.
Oh God. I'm not a Seth Rogen fan at all.
He's fine. I guess I'm sort of indifferent to him. He's done stuff I like. He's done stuff I don't like. He's done stuff I don't give a shit about. I don't know. Actually, I've said this before. The Lion King remake, like all those remakes, is pointless and stupid. But I will say again, a bright spot for me actually was him and Billy Eichner as Timon and Pumbaa. They were good. They had good chemistry and they were funny.
Oh, Billy Eichner too. Damn. Yeah.
They were good. I'm not saying they were better than what's his name and Nathan Lane because they were
And
amazing.
for that
I'm just
reason,
saying they
I'm
were
out.
worthy. Really?
Yeah.
Billy Eichner's weird because I didn't know who he was for years. I guess he had also like I didn't know who he was. For me, he came out of nowhere, right? But what's weird is there's quite a few comedians out there where they have a bit where like they think if yelling will make them funny, and obviously that's not funny. Billy Eichner does it for me. When Billy Eichner starts yelling, I do find it funny. It's so cheap. Like, why should I care that he's yelling something? But it works. I actually think it's funny when Billy Eichner starts yelling.
Yeah, I first saw him on Parks and Recreation,
Yeah, never watched the show. Have no idea what it is.
but I'd never seen
It
him
looked like The
before then. I
Office
never.
moved to a different location, right? It's like The Office, but in a different place with different people. It looked like the biggest Office ripoff
Yeah,
I've ever seen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's like Amy Poehler.
yeah.
Amy Poehler. It's like Amy Poehler wants to do The Office. Okay, let her. I do know that like that's where like a bunch of people like sort of got their start. Like and like I only found about them later. There's that mustache guy, Nick something.
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman. See. Since I don't watch shows, most of these actors come out of nowhere for me. Like they just pop up in a movie. Like I didn't know about their body of work beforehand. I didn't know I had any idea who Nick Offerman was for years. For years, I didn't know who he was. For years, I didn't know who Chris Pratt was, and now he's a big movie star. And apparently, he was on that show, right? Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
So I mean, like most actors, you climb your ladder, you have roles in shows, and you get bigger and more popular. Most of the time, I miss all that. Suddenly, they're just right smack in the middle of a huge movie, and I've never seen them or heard of them before. I'm not used to that.
Aubrey Plaza, Chris
I
Pratt.
I hate her. There's somebody I
Really,
hate. Fuck,
I'm not a fan really either.
I find her super annoying. I mean, when I say I hate her, I don't mean her personally. Okay, she's probably a fine person, but I can't help it. I have a whole list of people that I find super annoying, and it's not anything to do with who they are as people. I just find them off-putting. Charlie Day is one of those.
Oh no!
Middle Eastern type guy who has that grating nasally voice. He's in all sorts of shit. I can't remember his name.
I gotta know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's always in shows that I like, and I hate that he shows up on them. Like I said, I was watching Community. He pops up on there. Who's that guy? He's been around a long time, but he's like friends with Seth MacFarlane. He's a little Weasley guy. He was in stuff before Seth MacFarlane. I'm just saying, clearly he's friends with him because he's in Seth MacFarlane type movies. Like he's in the
DJ Qualls.
He's in and it.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I'm not talking about Aziz Ansari, by the way. That's not the Middle Eastern guy that I find annoying. Although it's not like I like him or anything. It's somebody else.
I like Aziz.
He's a guy that yells. He's the same thing as
Yeah.
Billy Eichner, except I enjoy Billy Eichner's yelling, and I don't like him. Aziz yells all the time, and it annoys me. So I just mean it's completely subjective. I'm not saying people should or shouldn't. I'm just saying this is how it affects me. But no, I can't stand Aubrey Plaza with her weird dead eyes.
See, that's what people like about her.
They like her weird dead eyes.
Well, they like her eyes. I don't
She
think
looks,
they say weird dead in
she
front
looks
of it.
insane. She looks like an insane person to me. And I don't mean acting. I mean, I've seen her like give interviews. She looks out of her fucking mind to me. She looks like an axe murderer. So again, I get it. Other people aren't going to agree with that. I'm just saying that's how it hits me. I can't fucking.
Well, that's kind of her whole thing on Parks and Rec. She kind of plays up to that, to the look. She puts eye makeup on.
I'm not completely crazy for thinking that. At least I'm not crazy for thinking that. The difference is, I guess some people like it. I don't like it at all. I find it extremely off-putting.
Oh, it's the Christina Ricci, the big eye.
I like Christina Ricci. No problem with that. And speaking also of A Million Ways to Die in the West, they play that up with what's her name to the point. Fuck, I can't remember anybody's name, but another actress known for having big eyes, to the point where they actually mock her for it.
I don't remember who was in that. I never saw it.
It's not memorable. It'll just wash over you.
Is she blonde?
Yeah, I just watched her in a thing on Apple. It's Amanda Seyfried. So Amanda Seyfried's in it,
Ah, I was thinking Amanda Seyfried.
but they actually do like a joke where like somebody's like dreaming or something, and she has like giant like bug eyes or something like that. Like it pretty mean stuff. But anyway, the guy in that I was talking about is Giovanni Ribisi. He's another guy. Like again, he's probably a perfectly fine person. He just annoys the shit out of me every time I see him on screen.
In Twin Peaks season 3, Amanda Seyfried played like a much younger girl, and she looks it. She looks great.
Yeah, I
She's
just saw her at
close
some.
to my age, if not my age.
Is she really that old? It's funny because yeah, I mean, I just saw
I
the
believe
show
so.
on Apple that she's in, and she's like a single mom and that and has a kid, and I'm just like, she seems too young to have a kid that old, but probably not.
Let's
You
see.
need to come across as completely unlikable and say it's Kumal.
Yeah.
I can't say his name. Kumal Nanjiani.
Kumail.
He has like the worst voice I've ever heard in my entire life, possibly. I would rather listen to fucking Guilford Gottfried read the phone book than listen to him. I hate his voice.
I
He's got
used to like Kumail
loud,
a lot.
praying, nasal voice. And again, he's not completely unaware of it, so he plays it up. And I want to, like, deafen myself.
He has the male version of vocal fry, like for the Kardashians. They have that thing the way they talk that a lot of
No.
girls copy it.
No. I'm glad I don't know. I don't
You
know what
don't
a
know?
Kardashian
Well,
sounds like. I don't know. We skipped over too much, but he did have
I
the heart
know.
attack. He helped him bury the guy. He's had the heart attack, and now they're having a little standoff moment here.
We got a
Now,
minute.
in
I'll
the
pull
book,
up.
it's while he's in the like this in I can't remember how this happens. He never gets out of the hospital in the book, and while he's there, that's when the Mossad agents or whoever start to get onto him in some way. And doesn't he like just kill himself to get himself out? I think he does. I think he sneaks. It's hard to remember. I think in the book he manages to sneak some medication and kill himself because he knows eventually they're gonna they come to him, they tell him stuff, he denies, and he never cops to it. And I think eventually he just kills himself. I don't think he gets out of the hospital here either. I spent too much time talking about stuff I don't like. I can't help it. I get on a roll. I have to complain. It's Mark Miller's fucking fault. See, the difference is when I'm yelling at some of these other people, they can't help the way they are. They just the way they are. But Mark Miller chooses to write the way he does. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because like in the hospital, how it all starts is like one of the other patients recognizes him. It's pretty crazy. I know I've seen Bella Thorne. I don't think she made an impression. I've seen her in something, I'm sure. That sounds really familiar, Bella Thorne. I must have seen her in something, Ben. But yeah, in the book, it's a like a old Jewish guy who recognizes him from the camp. They bring that up in quite a few movies where you'll have the old Nazi character be recognized by an old Jewish character that actually you remember from the camp, and you're always like, it's decades later. How the hell do you? But they always say like, I never forget that face, and I guess it's probably true. You go through something like that, and you have like some sadistic guard or something that's like threatening you and killing your friends. Maybe you are gonna remember him, and even if decades pass, maybe you still recognize him. Like I don't want to say that's completely unrealistic. You go through something like that, maybe it's burned in your memory no matter what. It seems crazy though to think like these people are in their 80s now and they last saw them like 50, 60 years, 70 years ago that they recognized them, but I don't know.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
aspect.
Hot people can be annoying. It's not like Aubrey Plaza isn't. I mean, she's all right.
Bella Thorne, yeah, she is annoying.
I know I've seen her.
Corey?
What are you queuing up here?
Oh, this is an example of vocal fry.
Okay.
Instead of going through what it is, I'm just going to play you an example.
I thought vocal fry was just burning out your voice.
Let's see, can you hear this?
What
Yes.
can I get you?
I'd like a large coffee.
Okay, so hot coffee.
Hot coffee.
Okay, room for cream.
Totally leave room for Cray.
Why are you talking like that?
Why are you talking like that?
Okay, yeah.
Because this is my voice.
Now that I hear it, I
No,
recognize
it's
it.
not. I heard you talking a minute ago. I know you don't talk like that.
It's a
Other than
very,
me, because
very
nobody else
popular
talks
thing.
like this.
Yeah, I don't think
I
I've
used to
met
talk
anyone
like
in
this.
real life who
Today I
talks
chose
like
to
that.
talk like that.
Especially with like influencers or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. As soon as I hear it, I
But-
recognize it. But I don't think I've met anyone in real life that talks like that.
I don't even know what that was from. Hopefully that won't be something we get taken down for. We still up, guys?
For the moment, see how long. it lasts.
That was from a movie or some shit, I'm sure.
That's weird. I thought vocal fry just referred to a completely different thing. That's all. I've heard the term vocal fry. I just thought it meant like burning out. As someone who actually suffered hemorrhaged vocal cords when I was like 16, like I thought it was something like that. Yeah, you're pretty fucked up, Dan. No one is disputing that. There, oh, see, there's the big shot. He's got the tattoo, the
Oh, shit.
concentration camp tattoo on him.
He knows who that is.
Yeah. So that is the same as in the book, that he got recognized by a Jewish. We'll see what happens here, because I can't remember. Because in the book, he does contact people, and they come and they figure it out. They're like standing at his bed. They're like, "We know who you are." And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I came to America." You know, he gives this whole spiel about his history, which he's rehearsed a million times.
Yeah.
And he denies it to the end, and then he just kills himself. So we'll see what he does here, because I can't remember. I remember what happens differently with Todd, but I don't remember what happens with Dusander. It's probably the same, because why would they have to change that? They're Todd, they don't want a killing spree, but this is different. Yeah, so here we go. Yeah, so he's being faced by agents here. But yeah, I mean, this is not the same exactly, but I really do like movies about like Nazi hunters. It's interesting stuff, searching for war criminals. I haven't gotten to the second season, but I watched the whole first season of that fictional one on Prime called Hunters. I enjoyed it, except they went too far with the twist. They did a pretty good twist in the last episode, and then they're like, "But wait, an even bigger twist next." Like that happens a lot and stuff too, right? They'll do a twist, and you're like, "Okay, fair enough," and they're like, "Wait, bigger twist," and you're like, "Okay, you ruined it." They kind of do that in that show Hunters. They do a pretty good twist, and then they ruin it. Some people, we had this conversation way back when I was watching it. We did it on one of the MDPD shows. I don't remember which one. There was this whole thing where it might have been the Auschwitz Museum or the Holocaust Museum or something like that. They criticized the show for showing, some fictional Nazi playing a game of human chess with people, because obviously that never actually happened. But I don't know. It's a strange thing. Like, I guess what they're saying is if you're going to show stuff like that, then like don't use a real concentration camp. Just make up a fictional one. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is to that. Because I mean, the show was in no way trying to like minimize or trivialize or sensationalize, the Holocaust. The whole point was characters that were affected by it or even gone through it, their trauma and what they're trying to do. But I mean, obviously, it is a fictional show. The Nazis in that are much more of a threat than any neo-Nazis have ever been in real life. In that show, there's a whole group of them. This is set in the 70s, and they're going to do like chemical attacks in the U.S. and all sorts of stuff. That obviously never happened in real life. But I don't think, again, that's like trivializing anything. It's believable. It's kind of like when you watch like the Marvel stuff or read the Marvel stuff about like what the Nazis are doing, because like in like Marvel, the Nazis were really into occultism, and they were like summoning demons and turning people into zombies and doing all sorts of stuff like that. And obviously that didn't happen in real life, but I don't think that's trivializing anything. There's all sorts of stuff that says like that Hitler was into the occult and wanted it to be real, so I don't know. So yeah, they move things forward quite a bit here because he's graduating from high school. Whereas in the book, I think he's ages 13 through 16, so he's not like about to graduate. He's just finishing his school year. And his guidance counselor, we're tight. Lost Jay for the moment, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But we're towards the end of the movie. I feel like I wasted parts of the movie by blathering about my own hang-ups with things, but oh well. You knew what you were getting into when you came here. This is a good movie. It is a good adaptation. I would still say absolutely read the short story, though, because it is better. And I would just say, read different seasons if you haven't, especially if you've read classic King stuff, but not this, because again, we can't, it's 2023, and I'm too young too, but it would have been something to read this in 1982, because I think it probably changed a lot of people's views or opinions of King, because it showed that he was a bit more versatile than maybe he'd shown thus far, because he's writing horror stories. These aren't horror stories, although they might have horror elements to them, and they're all very good. And 3 of them have been fairly successfully adapted into movies. Stand By Me, and Shawshank Redemption, and this. This is not as good as the other 2, but as far as the stories go, it might be the best. Yeah, we're pretty close here. He's gonna graduate, which has changed from the book because they made him a bit older than he was in the book.
What is he, valedictorian?
Yeah, I think so. So they're finding, yeah, see, because he's gonna give a speech, so he has to be valedictorian. I was not in line to be valedictorian, but I was annoyed by who they made my valedictorian. But if I say why, I'll sound like a dick, so we'll leave it. Because I'm not going to get hung up on stuff like that, because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. It doesn't.
Yeah, okay, so now they're checking out his house. I guess they're going to find the body, or traces of the body. Yeah. So I get, see, they're playing it up a bit more by making him valedictorian. He's giving a speech and fooling everybody that he's this great kid and everything. In a way, that would make it even better if they combined this with the book's ending. But instead, they're just going to keep it all under wraps. Which some people do say makes it a more haunting ending. Even though it doesn't have the body count, it's like he's still out there. Both endings are valid, I guess. But the idea that you couldn't use the book ending for this movie, I think, is wrong. Although, considering they don't have a lead up with him independently murdering people, it would seem crazy to just tack that ending on here now. Because in the book, he's already killed people. So to have him kill the guidance counselor and then go on a killing spree, it's not. My valedictorian was a girl, not a boy. You guys are mean. Yeah, so now his parents are finding out. It's like, oh, look, that guy, old man that our son was spending so much time with, he's a Nazi war criminal. So that's one of the things, that does seem like a loose end that they can't really address in the movie, right? The truth about Dusander does come out, and it's like, oh, Todd's just gonna be fine. People aren't gonna ask him any fucking questions about all that time he spent with the nice old man. I get that they couldn't guess at the truth, that Todd knew all along and was super fascinated and wanted to learn all the Nazi stuff. I'm just saying. And there he is talking to the FBI. Saying, I had no idea. He was a nice old man. Because again, in the book, the cops are, at least one of the cops is on to Todd too. Like, he knows his story does not really line up. But this is all so accelerated. Yeah, that's right. Because the whole thing about the heart attack was like, I was reading him a letter. Did you have a heart attack? But I didn't understand it because I don't speak German.
If you're gonna make something up, why would you say that?
About the letter?
Yeah. And why would he say he was reading it in German?
Well, he did have German letters.
Yeah.
I guess because there is some truth to it too. He did have German letters. He's trying to say that he couldn't see well enough to read, so I would read for him, even though I didn't understand German. Yeah, see, this is in both. This whole thing about like they think that the guy he murdered had something to do with the letter. Like, they have no idea. He just murdered some random guy because he's crazy. So it's this whole thing about like maybe the letter is really significant in some way when it's not. Right? It's not. Guys that are blind don't go normally stealing letters. But he makes some sort of slip up.
Yeah.
I don't know if he does here, but in the book, I remember he makes some sort of slip up that one of the detectives notices, but I can't remember what it is. I wonder if I can fucking find it. God, this light's bad. Speaking of not being able to read letters, can't read shit if it's too close to me. Cops talking.
How did they find out after all?
Which part?
Just
Find out
the
about
fact that guy was killed? Is that how they were trying to find the dead guy?
After finding out who Dusander was, they just were like searching his home, and then they found traces that somebody was buried.
Yeah, but I mean, how was he even on their radar?
Dusander? Because the guy in the hospital outed him.
Ah,
The Jewish guy recognized him.
that's it.
Yeah, I can't remember quite how they do it here. In the book, he knows it's only a matter of time they're going to close the net on him, and he kills himself. That's the thing about the cops. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff here about the gun. He's got a 30-30. Yeah, here he is talking to Betty. Okay, so there was some truth there about the whole thing about him being able to not perform, because they're saying here, after 20 minutes of manipulating his lax penis, she was disheveled and out of patience. And then he's thinking about murdering her.
Well, hell, you can't blame her. Shit. She gave it a shot.
"20 minutes, yeah. It's more patience than a lot of girls would show."
Yeah.
So, fuck, I want to get forward to the cops talking to him. Where is this ending? Jesus Christ. Okay, that's too far, because that's the body. Bozeman.
If Brad Renfro were still alive, they could make a sequel to this now, where he's like the leader of the Pride Boys.
Or something, some kind of terrorist, I guess. Because I mean, I guess what they, yeah, I mean, but having him still alive at the end and like nobody really onto him, I guess they're like saying like he's gonna do something.
Right.
Probably not something like that. That's too overt, though, right? I don't think it would fit his character. His character.
Well, they may have left it open on purpose, you know.
Oh yeah, I know they do, but I just mean if I'm trying to follow this through logically, it seems like his character might become like a serial killer or something, but
Right.
it doesn't seem like he would be like overtly leading radicals or something. Like that doesn't seem like his style.
Yeah.
He's more of a sneaky guy. He's not going to be out there because one of the things they showed actually in the movie was like once the media got a hold of who Denker was, that he was Dysander. Remember, it showed like people yelling outside the hospital, including like neo-Nazis going,
A bunch of skinheads, yeah.
Like he wouldn't
I don't
probably
know.
hang with those people. He'd probably think they're all idiots. That's what Todd's character's like, at least in this. Like, if they, yeah,
Of course, yeah.
he might believe the same stuff they believe, but he would think they're fucking morons. Because he wants to lead a quiet, clean-cut life, you know.
Is he blowing in his IV? Oh, that's not going to be good.
Yeah. Oh, there's some of them. So, yeah, they're up there. Yeah. So there's some of the protesters and some of his fans too.
Oh yeah. We've got a certain color suspenders on. That means we hate the Browns.
So yeah, here we go. So this is after they talk. This is the cops talking to each other after they talked to Todd with his parents. So what do you think? Lepskov asked Richler when Richler picked him up at the lunch level. Oh, I think the kid was in on it somehow, Richler said. Somehow, some way, to some degree. But is he cool? If you poured hot water into his mouth, I think he'd spit out ice cubes. I tripped him up a couple times, but I got nothing I could use in court. And if I got much further, some smart lawyer might be able to get him off on an entrapment a year or two down the road, even if something does pull together. I mean, the courts are going to look at him as a juvenile. The kid's only 17. In some ways, I guess he hasn't really been a juvenile since he was maybe 8. He's creepy, man. I mean, really fucking creepy. Here we go. The slips he did make. The phone calls. That's the main thing. When I slipped him the idea, I could see his eyes light up like a pinball machine. He's saying to himself, this cop is off the wall if he thinks Dysander had a Nazi friend here in town. But if he does think that, it takes me off ground zero. So he says, yeah, Dysander got 1 or 2 calls a week. Because that was the thing, right? They had the phone records. They knew these calls didn't go out. But they give him this idea that maybe he called some foreign guy and Todd jumped for it. So that's where one of the slips is. So he's like, yeah. Very mysterious. I can't talk now. Z5, call later, that type of thing. But Dysander's been getting a special quiet phone rate for the last 7 years. Almost no activity at all and no long distance. He wasn't getting a call or 2 every week. What else? He immediately jumped to the conclusion that the letter was gone and nothing else. He knew that was the only thing missing because he was the one who went back and took it. Yeah. So there was a letter. It's just not important in the way that people thought it was. So here's the part where I don't even remember how, because we talked over it and I missed parts of it, but the whole thing in the book was the guidance counselor ran into somebody who was Todd's actual grandfather or something by weird coincidence and figured out like somebody was, and he was posing as him, and of course it comes out in the news, hey, that guy's actually a Nazi. So yeah, so he knows something. So here we go. So here's where things really diverged. In the book, he actually comes and visits Todd while Todd's in his garage and says some stuff, and Todd takes out his gun and kills him. But this is quite different. Dysander's going. And so there he is threatening him. Things I'll say, they'll never go away, not for you. There's a lot of truth to that, too. You could be 100% innocent, but, you know, some kid accuses you of stuff.
Right. You automatically get fired regardless, you know.
Yeah.
And then you get, you know, publicly ostracized.
Yeah. Even if there's not
regardless.
Not if there's a shred of evidence, not if you get charged, and that sort of thing. And, you know, it's just a tough... I mean, I wish they could change some of that. Again, I'm not going to be one of those guys who be like, oh, man, bitches protect bros. Like, I don't give a shit. But I am saying, like, a lot of times, if, like, some guy gets, like, accused of, say, like, raping a woman or something like that, his name is all over the paper, and the woman's name is protected, even if it's bullshit. And then it'd be like, you know, no, you know, it's disproven or whatever. Like, your name's always been out there. It's like, you're an accused rapist. And it's the same thing here. Like, he knows, and that's what he uses against him. It's like, I don't even need evidence. I just need to, like, accuse you. And there he walks away. And a lot of people find that chilling. And I guess it is chilling. And I guess it works for the movie that we've set up. Because at this point, Todd hasn't killed anybody. Todd doesn't kill anybody in the movie. He kills a pigeon. But in the book, he kills, like, 5 or 6 people, then kills this guy, and then goes on a killing spree where it takes the cops 5 hours to bring him down. So I understand how that would be a difficult ending to pull off.
Yeah, they couldn't have that. Yeah.
Like I said, it only works if you include him killing the homeless people first. To have him just snap and do that without that first would be weird.
The studio probably told him we can't have that ending.
Like I said, it's
because
possible,
of
but
the
nowadays they would, for sure. Nowadays they would absolutely say that. I don't know in 1998. It certainly would be a very dark ending.
And we were already having the school shootings. What year was Columbine?
Right after 99.
99.
So that's the end for me. We just hit hit the credits. So
We roll right into School Ties. That's what's coming up next.
For me, it's Disturbing Behavior.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I like Disturbing Behavior. That's underrated. I saw School Ties only once. I saw it when I was in Mexico. It was on a hotel room.
Yeah,
in Mexico.
it's all right.
Just started randomly watching it one night, late night in Cancun. There's the movie Apt Pupil. I guess we got most of it. As I said, the biggest takeaway I can tell you is it's a pretty good adaptation, but you should still absolutely read the novella because it's one of King's like best short stories or novellas or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, really a shame about Brad Renfro too. He really would have turned into something, I think.
He had a tough life. As I said, this movie, between him and Singer, there's a lot to be said about sort of the dark side of Hollywood and victims and perpetrators and all this. And a lot of people feel like Brad Renfro was treated poorly and ignored, and like his death would have been preventable.
Yeah.
25. As for Bryan Singer, he was going along fine until they kicked him off the Queen movie.
Oh, I don't think I knew about that.
And that's he was the original director for the Bohemian Rhapsody movie in 2018.
Oh, that Queen movie. Okay.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. And yet he still did the other X-Men movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he was removed from the credits. Although, he was just a producer, though. He wasn't actually a director on Dark Phoenix. Although he probably originally would have been, I think, considering he directed all the other X-Men movies, except for, the spin-offs, like First Class.
Yeah.
But, he directed the original trilogy, he directed Apocalypse, and he directed Days of Future Past. So I would assume he was probably supposed to direct Dark Phoenix, and they removed him. Thanks for coming by, Dan, and good luck with things tomorrow. We'll get you on here too. We'll talk on air, Dan.
Fuck, I know I saw Dark Phoenix, but I don't remember it.
I refuse to watch it because I don't know. Phoenix Saga is one of my favorite things in comics. I don't need to see them fuck it up.
I love the X-Men too much to not watch it.
I love the X-Men too much to watch it.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
I don't like any. The only X-Men movie I remotely like is First Class. I don't like any of the others. And people have heard this spiel from me many times before. Speaking of, Ian McKellen, I don't like his Magneto one bit.
What?
It's interesting in that in making him Magneto, he goes from playing a Nazi who worked at a concentration camp killing Jews to Magneto, a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah, what's up with that? It's bullshit. That's a much better villain. That's much scarier. You know?
I mean,
What
I
did
don't
you
know.
think of,
I don't even know how they address it in the comics now. I mean, floating timelines and what have you. I mean, they must have had to de-age Magneto in some way. For him to be a Holocaust survivor nowadays, he'd be too old. And that's why I didn't like, even in 2000, Magneto was an old man in the movie, and I couldn't stand that. Because to me, Magneto's like 50.
Yeah.
But I get it. They wanted to keep that intact. And I'm not saying they're right. It's an important part of Magneto's backstory, but I'm sure comics probably did some sort of retcon or something to de-age him in some way, because there's always ways to do that. Because you have a floating timeline, so you're always moving up things. But there are certain characters that have an important part of the backstory that doesn't get changed. For instance, Charles Xavier, originally, he fought in the Korean War. That's not the case anymore. Because you have to update it, just like the Punisher, you know. They moved around his military service over and over again. I think the Punisher originally fought in Vietnam. In the decades since, they move it up to... Don't worry, America doesn't run out of armed conflict, so there's always something for the Punisher.
Yeah, we'll find one.
Yeah, no worries there. But,
what did you think of Logan? Have you seen that one yet?
oh yeah, I saw that in the theater. I don't know. Awfully disappointing.
I liked it.
I just don't like how low-key it was. Too low-key for me. And he gets killed by an insane clone of himself? It seems like a weird... I don't know. I guess there's no satisfying death for Wolverine because he's so awesome and timeless. There's no death that's going to feel worthy of him. But killed by an insane clone of himself seems kind of stupid to me, but I don't know. I get plenty dumber things have happened in comics. I can't use that as a defense. I'm just saying, no. The movie was weird. It was like a weird post-apocalyptic road trip movie. I just didn't get what they were going for. It's not like it's unwatchable. It's well done. It seemed like a very odd story to tell to me. It's like Logan's in the future and most people are dead and he's driving around and he's protecting a kid. I'm so tired of that genre, speaking of which. I watched the Western with Tom Hanks the other night. I watched News of the World. And it's fine, but I've just gotten so tired of the loner guy protects a young girl.
Is that new?
It came out a couple years ago. Like 2020, maybe.
Don't even know that I've heard of that movie.
Okay, it's called News of the World. It's set in the Old West. I think it's 1870. It's a couple years after the end of the Civil War, and Tom Hanks is this guy who had fought in the Civil War because it's down in Texas, so he's fought for the South, and now it's called News of the World because he does the job of he goes from town to town and reads the news to people because a lot of people can't read, and that's actually a job.
Oh, okay.
And while he's doing that, he comes across this young white girl. She was like a German immigrant, but her parents have been like killed by Indians or Native Americans, and she was taken in and she lived with them, so she only spoke their language. And the person that was, I don't know, she was being escorted by some black guy who got lynched. So he found her, she's all wild and crazy, and he takes her to this town, and they're like, we don't know who's responsible for her. So he finds out she's got an aunt and uncle. So it's about him trying to take her to her aunt and uncle. And of course, he has to protect her along the way, and blah, and they bond, and blah, blah. It's a type of, there's nothing wrong with the movie, but I feel like I've already seen it because it's happened so many times. It's like, here's some loner guy, you find out, it's a backstory, he had a wife, and she died, and stuff, And of course, he drops her off with the aunt and uncle, but then he goes back and gets her because he realizes, she's become like a daughter to him, and they're together at the end, and it's fine, and there's nothing wrong with the movie. It's very nice, and Tom Hanks is a good actor, and it just feels like I've seen it. That's like a whole genre or subgenre. It's like old loner guy for some reason has to protect some young girl, and they bond, and and Logan's that.
Well, what about dead wife trope?
Yeah. His wife died of cholera. So there's nothing wrong with the movie, but in watching it, you feel like you've already seen it. That's how I felt watching it. It was super predictable. And I didn't know any of the other actors. Not that I need a bunch of actors, but I didn't know them, which is fine in a way. It's less distracting, right? You don't know actors. But it's a fine movie, but I don't know. It was kind of a waste of time. I don't regret watching it because it wasn't terrible, but yeah, it's just so predictable. That, like I said, that's a whole subgenre. Some guy with like a damaged past loner has to like look out for a young girl, and they bond. That just seems to be done to death. And I guess that's how I felt about Logan, and that was 6 or 7 years ago. And
It was a nice send off for that character.
Except I guess he's coming back for Deadpool.
Is that happening?
That's the big thing, isn't it? The Deadpool 3 is going to have him as
that man pump through more steroids than possibly.
Yeah. I mean, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, I don't blame him. It's just so different. He's so tall. He speaks so differently, you know?
I've never liked the casting, but he did kind of grow on me.
Yeah, like I said, you got used to it, right? Like, it's not like it was terrible, but like I said, I'm used to it.
Well, I mean, picture Wolverine. I mean, that's probably who you're going to picture, you know?
He's too tall.
No, I'm just saying.
No matter how much I picture Wolverine, he's not 6
I'm just saying he's so entrenched in our thought of Wolverine.
Oh, I guess for a lot of people.
No. I mean, fuck, that was like, what, 2000, 2002 when that movie came out?
The first one was 2000. So, I mean, yeah.
2000?
He played the role for 17 years.
That's a long fucking time, man.
Because he's in what? He's in, like, every X-Men movie. He's in Logan.
He maybe in... He's got a cameo in one of the Deadpool movies. Or maybe both of them.
Oh, yeah. He's in Wolverine Origins.
He's in Project X. Like, he's in the facility at one point and he escapes. What movie was that?
They made a movie about the weapon.
No, it wasn't his movie. He was just in there and he escaped and that was it. I want to say it was Deadpool. I don't know.
It's confusing because they made 2 Deadpool movies with Ryan Reynolds, right? But before that, they made a Wolverine Origins movie with a different version of Deadpool that sucked. And
played by Ryan Reynolds.
And one of the jokes in Deadpool 2 is he uses the time travel to go back and kill that crappy version of himself. You have the scene of your old Deadpool, and he like shoots that Deadpool. Just like I think he shoots Ryan Reynolds before he can say yes to the Green Lantern movie or something.
When is that movie coming out? The new Deadpool.
Oh, I don't know. I thought pretty soon because that was the whole thing. It was months and months ago, right? They had that whole video where it's like, I don't know what to do for Deadpool 3. We don't know what to do. And then like Hugh Jackman just like walks up. He's like, hey, you want to play Wolverine again? He's like, okay. And then everyone's like, ah.
Oh. See, I knew they had been talking about that for years, and I didn't know if it was like real.
Well, I assume that video was supposed to actually like confirm it, like it was real. But yeah, delayed because of the strike. There you go. Like most things. Yeah, I'm actually going to get the new Punisher series. I think it launches in November. Because I've never bought a Punisher series, so why not buy one that's not Frank Castle? Sure, I'll do it.
Yeah. This strike, man. It's going to get real interesting soon.
They've done everything to Frank Castle, Ben. Who cares what they did now? Do you know they turned Frank Castle into a Frankenstein monster? Do you know they killed him and brought him back as an angel who hunted demons? Do you know there was a 3-issue arc in the early 90s where he turned black? Those are all things they did with the Punisher. That was at the height of his popularity. I mean, it's one thing later on, the stuff they did, but in 1991, the Punisher was like the hottest shit Marvel had. Hotter than Deadpool or Wolverine. And they were like, let's do an arc where he turns black for a couple issues and hangs out with Luke Cage. That happened.
Are you watching Disturbing Behavior?
Am I watching it?
Yeah.
Do you want to watch it?
Oh, I already put it on.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Thought you had it going.
Okay, here. Just tell me where you're at, and I'll catch up.
I'm 4 minutes, 15 seconds.
Okay, let's do this. Just do double feature, people.
We don't have to do the whole movie. I just was, if it, you know, if you got it going.
Okay. Wait. Do you have 5 minutes yet?
4 minutes, 15 seconds.
Okay. Damn, this is hard to get precise with. Okay, there's Nick Stahl. I'm coming up to 5 minutes now, so back it up just a tiny bit more. Nick Stahl, the dog.
Oh, I haven't seen Nick Stahl yet.
Okay, I'm at 4:35.
Okay, here, I'll get there.
Kids making out in the car.
Yeah, they're
I think
making
she's
out.
gonna go down on him. I don't remember most of this movie.
Oh, she's got a tattoo. She's a whore.
There's Nick Stahl with his dog.
Yeah, that's right before.
I've had people tell me I
4:35?
look like Nick Stahl, but I don't think they're right. Cop car driving up.
Hold on, what are you at now?
5'10", 5'11". Cops pulling up. Come on, push it.
This thing keeps jumping ahead too far. I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, it's hard to do. Yeah, I'm at 5:30. Oh, he's already been. Oh, he kills her. So he's already been programmed.
Yeah.
Slut.
Did she try to suck his dick?
Yeah, and he broke her neck, and the cops are coming. So how does this work? I already forget. Like he just murdered somebody, and he's in the car with her.
Wow.
Because yeah, I know the whole thing. It's like they're programmed to act a certain way, and I don't know.
It's a hot take, Ben.
Say the black one last. I thought it had the. I thought it was the weirdest. Yes, weirder than Frankencastle, and I don't mean a black person is stranger than a monster. I mean the idea that they're just like for a couple issues, give them a race lift for just a couple issues and have it mean sort of nothing and then wear off and never be addressed again. That kind of thing. Okay, so he kills the cops too. Nice.
Yeah. Oh wow. I'd forgotten about that part.
I need my fluids. I forget most of this. I just know Nick Stahl's kind of an outsider and Katie Holmes is bangs, maybe. People talk about bangs like they're over. Oh, bangs till I die. I don't care. I don't like my forehead. I don't like foreheads. Everyone should have bangs. Nick Stahl.
Remember there was rumors a few years ago, well, probably like 5 years ago, that he was missing.
Nick Stahl had gone missing?
Yeah, do you remember that?
No. Who's that?
I don't remember what happened. Just he wasn't missing anymore.
So he's okay?
As far as I know. I think he's kind of an off the grid type guy.
Steve. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember the last time he was in a movie. I don't even know what he looked like as an older guy. I only remember him as like this teens, 20s guy. He was the yellow bastard in Sin City, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was good. That's a good movie.
Right there. Really nice adaptation. I mean, if they hadn't taken so damn long to make the second one was
I know.
a big hit too, but waiting so long just ruined it. By that time, Michael Clark, Duncan, and Brittany Murphy were both dead.
Is that it? Oh,
As far as major characters go, I don't think they had to like recast Brittany Murphy though. She wasn't important. But yeah, speaking of people that like died like around that time, like Brittany Murphy. I think I said this before. Do you know who went to prom with Brittany Murphy? I'll give you a hint. He's also dead. Just that's the point. It's like depressing.
Oh shit! Oh, Brittany Murphy.
Brittany Murphy went to prom with Jonathan Brandis.
Damn it! That's who I was gonna say.
Oh, was it? I'm sorry. I should have given you more time. I believe you.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to think of his name actually.
Oh, there you go. Well, pretty good then. So there's another.
I didn't realize that she was good friends with him too.
Yeah.
I've just
He
heard
died at
what.
a famous age. He was 27, so he died at the rock star age. 27 club.
Just heard what Punky Brewster has to say about him, or had to say about him.
They got along, didn't they?
Yeah, she talks about when he killed himself and stuff. I think like her boyfriend at the time was living with Jonathan.
Oh. And then everybody
he was just like, "What's up,
Brittany
guys?"
Murphy died, and it was kind of weird because nobody knew why. And then like a few months later, her boyfriend also just sort of strangely dropped dead in the same house.
Yeah. I don't know. I've heard people say that the dad had something to do with it or something, but who knows?
They're talking about Great Expectations. Mr. Clark is new to us from Chicago. He looks familiar. Is that James Marsden or whatever?
I was about to say.
He's aged really well. He still looks like he's older now, right? He looks young as hell still. He's in that Sonic movie with Sonic the Hedgehog, and he looks really young, despite being he's got to be in his 50s. Subtitles in this are slow for me. They're like delayed. It's annoying. Ooh, this is an exciting high school.
Yeah. Did you have a group of kids at your school that were like really into old cars?
No.
Me either.
Is that what this guy is? This guy with the leather jacket?
Yeah, they're the car gearheads or whatever they
call
it.
That way his hat says like Pennzoil or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like typical of every high school. You've got the old car gearhead.
He's gonna go get in his like '69 Chevelle and like do burnouts in the parking lot now. Oh man, that's '90s as fuck.
Yeah. This is when I was in high school. So, there's a goth chick. You gotta have at least one. Goth chicks were a staple from about '97 to 2004. So. Usually as a main character. I don't think there is a main character this time.
She was drinking the Orbits. You remember that drink with the little balls in it?
Ryan and I used to drink it, even though it was disgusting. We tried to like convince ourselves we liked it, but man, who wants to drink something with stuff floating in it? Gross. Isn't it interesting that like Nick Stahl's character here is like practically the same character that speaking of younger guys that have disappeared. Oh, damn it. I need to remember people's names before I start trying to make points. Oh my god.
River Phoenix.
No.
Josh Hartnett.
Josh Hartnett. Yes, the Josh Hartnett. You're right. He's playing the same kind of character that Josh Hartnett plays in, Orcs movie.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Whatever the fuck the name of that movie is.
That is The Faculty.
Ah, fuck.
Yeah.
Man, I
But
could
yeah,
look
like
you up.
they're basically the same character. They're like weird sort of outsider burnout types.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean those did exist in my. I think I was one of those. I think I'm
mean,
still one of those.
I don't know if I was one of those, but I looked like one of those. To the point, like I said, for like the first 6 or 7 years that I lived here, like it was very normal thing for people to like approach me to ask where they could get drugs. I guess I eventually grew
Yeah.
out of it, but like that's how I looked in high school and at least my early college years. I guess I looked like that kind of burnout guy. People always asking me if where to get drugs or just if I had a smoke and stuff like that. I was like, no. I guess I give off that vibe, but no.
You got any crack, brother?
I mean, I get it. I had long hair. I was never clean shaven. I had baggy clothes.
James Marsden.
I leaned hard into baggy clothes.
Oh yeah, me too.
I'm glad I don't have pictures of myself back then. Like a fucking idiot. I always wore shirts that were way too big for me. I always wore shirts that were way too big for me. And I mean, everybody had the wide leg jeans.
Oh yeah, I rocked quite a few pair of Jinkos.
I didn't go that far, but I had wide leg.
I didn't get the massive, ones that look like you're wearing a dress. I never had those.
Yeah, that's
I had
pretty
some
crazy.
big ones.
But yeah, see the way Nick Stahl looks there does kind of look a little bit like high school me. A little bit. I mean, he's taller. But I mean, his hair.
They said you look like Nick Stahl.
Yeah, I mean, a few people used to years ago when I did some of my early YouTube videos commented that.
Yeah, I could see it.
But I mean, here I do see a bit of it. Like, see his hair and his like wearing like the hoodie and stuff. That is kind of me, high school me. I would have been shorter, but that's pretty close. And I probably would have had some fuzz. He seems pretty clean shaven. I was kind of fuzzier. I couldn't grow crazy full facial hair as a high school student, but I had it. Usually something just here, something on my chin.
For anyone just tuning in, we're now watching Disturbing Behavior. Timestamp of 16.
People are like, Nick
seconds.
Stahl. People are like, what the fuck? Nick Stahl's not in that movie. He's not in Apt Pupil.
I always like this albino fella too. He's pretty cool.
Oh, they have an albino? I never knew an albino.
But
yeah, there's the guy in his classic car. Which is not a staple of high schools, but apparently it is here.
That's the gearheads, bro.
Yeah, what is this? Fucking Grease?
Yeah, exactly.
Go Grease that.
About to have a dance off with the Sharks.
I didn't realize. I remember this movie so poorly that I didn't remember James Marsden was like a major character in it, but clearly he is.
I forget that every time I watch this movie. Like he's in a lot of shit that I forget he's in.
Yeah, he's another guy that sort of popped into existence for me like a long time, like more recently, like way more recently than this. Like he was on 30 Rock, and I was just like, he's somebody, but I don't know. And that would have been like 2008, 2009, maybe.
He was on an episode of this newest season of Party Down. I don't know if you ever watched that show.
No, I don't know. Is that an old show or a new show?
It's probably about 10 years old when it first ran on, I don't know, some cable network, Stars or some shit.
See, his name is James. His name's James Marsden. But in this movie, he plays a character named Steve. I gotta say, he looks a lot more like a Steve. He looks like, if somebody said Steve, that's like what pops into my brain. All right, Gearhead, you're more important than we thought.
Yeah.
Gearhead lives down on the docks. The wharf.
I'm trying to get that carburetor.
You're right. He's here for Mustang parts. That's why he's there. What? Oh, I get it. The jocks are already infected, and they're going to infect him.
Oh, shit.
The troops will set you free. That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, whatever part of their brains they fucked with, it really made them into big assholes, too.
We got it for you, Richard. Weird. Yeah. See, I remember like the premise and stuff, but I can't remember who's behind it and what exactly it means. I mean, it's like adults that are actually behind it, right? Because they want
We
like
got
them to
William
act.
Sadler in the basement fighting rats. Remember him?
I like that corduroy he's got on. Who the fuck is this guy? Edgar Caldecott. That's definitely a villain. Is this the guy that's doing it to people? I kind of suspect this Edgar guy. He seems
He
like
eats
a
shit
villain.
for breakfast. Isn't that the guy from Happy Gilmore?
No,
No.
isn't that Christopher McDonald?
Yeah. I didn't get a good
Yeah,
look
I
at
know
him.
Christopher McDonald.
This is somebody though.
Most people are.
That is true.
Oh, he has a backstory. They're saying there's a tragedy in Chicago. He's the new kid, and there was a tragedy in Chicago. I don't remember his backstory at all. I mean, that's pretty normal usually when you do these high school things. If there's a new kid, they're the main character. So,
What, his dad die or some shit?
something like that. He just had a weird flashback of him like partying or something. It was really fast.
I don't remember exactly what happened.
It's hard to be the new kid, but not really when you look like him, right? Oh no, I'm gonna fit into this high school.
I'm all fucked up on the inside. Where's the girl with the nose ring?
There she is. Okay, I don't think knows.
Almighty.
But I mean, still, she's got a leather jacket on. She's
Oh
dancing.
man,
This is how we like to remember Katie.
let me tell you, I was into that.
Yeah.
Still am.
Yeah, I know. If she went to my high school, I would have taken a run at her. And I had like zero confidence back then. I can't stand the annoying delay on my subtitles. Bonafide jitterbug. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, they always put this stupid ass lingo in movies that it's almost like a Diablo Cody joint or something, you know?
You just say like she's trash because of where she's from or something?
Yeah.
So she might be hot, but she's trash.
Like she lives in the trailer park or some shit.
I thought Captain Kirk in the new Star Trek was Chris Pine. I don't know how old that comet is. I just thought something Ben said. Oh, there's an even
Like
newer
the
Star
Picard,
Trek. So maybe
the
there's an
Picard
even newer
show?
Star Trek. So maybe no. There's like 3 new Star Trek shows, including Picard.
I haven't seen any of them.
No, I don't watch Star Trek. The only one I watch is the animated
Yes.
one. I like.
Very,
watched
very nice,
Well-
Ben. Very, very surprising too.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen like shots from that scene because I think who was it? I think Cameron showed it to me years ago.
You know, we're 2 hours and 30 minutes in, so whatever. They're surprisingly big.
Yeah. Because I somehow was having this conversation with Cameron years ago, and I didn't know, and he like showed me like a screenshot or something.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Let me pull it up. I
Maybe it's on
wish.
Boopedia. You ever go there?
What is it?
Boopedia?
No.
Well, of course there's a Wikipedia for tits.
Makes sense.
And well, of
Name
course it
writes
has like
itself.
porn stars and shit like that. It does also have actresses that have happened to have nude scenes. But what's annoying though is like those ones, like you think, oh, have a list of like her nude scene appearances for convenience, and they don't. Like that just seems like, what's wrong with you, moderators or builders of Boopedia? Wouldn't you have like a list? It would be pretty easy. Just have the list of movies where they are topless.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how are you a useful resource?
That sounds like
It's pretty funny though, because they have like categories for like shapes and sizes of breasts and stuff. It's pretty funny.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Oh, she's so angsty. Oh, this is an old school style grocery store here. This is a
Well,
weird
she's
town.
angsty as fuck, bro. She's angsty.
Even if you take out what's going on, this is a weird town. Like they got some sort of they got like it's the 90s, but like it's a weird anarchism stew. Like there's students that act like it's the 50s, and
Well, I
this
think
grocery store is
yeah,
kind of
well,
50s.
I think they start acting like it's the 50s more once they start getting their
Right,
brains
because it's
fucked
part of
up.
like the moral program, right? It's like that
Right,
kind of
right. Like
American
they're
value.
the Donna Reed.
Leave it to Bieber.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah,
So
fuck him up with some Captain Crunch, man.
he was just like getting a boner looking at Katie there,
And it turned him into a rage monster.
and yeah, so that, like,
Here's your nose ring. Ripped it out. Wow, nobody's doing anything, and the cop does not seem to care. Because the cops are in on this, right? That's why they don't care that much.
Yeah.
They don't even care that one of them literally killed one of the cops. It's like, all right, let's go down.
I think
That's
they
true.
own the cops,
Yeah,
don't
very
they?
useful for that. Yeah, or something. So he said, like, the cop doesn't even care. He's like, all right, son, you've just savagely assaulted a bunch of people, but whatever.
It was
You're
that
on-
mustache man earlier, I think, is the one that's.
You'll be on the
responsible
You're on the
for it all.
football team. We got to go to state or whatever.
Yeah.
They talk about.
We got the big game, champ.
I know all about that from King of the Hill. Go to state.
Bobby, we're going to state.
Yeah.
There you go. Toxic masculine. That should be the new title of this movie.
Yeah, it's true. They haven't programmed any girls. Do they do it to any girls?
I think they do.
They must.
I think one goes after Katie at one point. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is like one of the ultimate high school crushes is her. And then there was what was the other one? Another one was Jennifer Love Hewitt and Can't Hardly Wait.
Oh, yeah. I watched that the other day, too.
I haven't seen that in years.
I hadn't either.
But yeah, speaking of high school movies from the era when I was in or close to high school.
And these are all people that are like my age, too.
Yeah.
Like
Few years older than me.
Hewitt.
I mean, no wonder Marston looks so young. He is only 45. I thought he would be older. He's only 45. Or Hartnett's 45.
That makes me feel good. Fuck those old pieces of shit.
Okay, Marston's a few years older than him. He's 49. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, Marston's 49?
Marston's 49. Hartnett's 45.
Okay.
Holmes is 44.
Yeah, so she's like pretty much my age.
She'll be 45 shortly before Christmas. Oh, is this the guy you're talking about that fights the rats?
Yeah.
Don't remember him either. Man, I forget so much of this. Oh, look, the weird loner burnout kid is friends with whoever the hell this guy is. That makes sense. It's like, don't you guys have class? Nah. We'll just hang out in the bowels of the school.
Yeah.
Come up. Keep forgetting that I can move around.
See? Little did you know, it worked the whole time. The eradicator. Eradicator.
Get away with words. At least Nick has some clues. He mentions he's Boo Radley. I'm
Bull
like,
Radley, motherfucker.
I feel like no high school student today would know what the fuck you meant if you said
Yeah,
Boo Radley.
I'd love for somebody to tell me what book that's from.
Oh, here we go. There's one of the program girls.
Yeah, fuck fast cars.
I like how they do this up though. Like Katie Holmes, it's just like she's got ripped jeans, so she's an outsider,
Yeah.
even though she's hot as hell. She could never complete with a blonde over there because the blonde's wearing a skirt.
I know these movies are always like that, though, right?
I know. The best example being my ultimate crush, Rachel Lee Cook.
Really? Yeah, I was thinking that's the go-to reference,
Because
right?
in She's All That, it's like Rachel Lee Cook wears glasses. She's so unappealing and unattractive.
That's like they combed her hair and took her glasses off. That's all they did, and put her in some whore clothes, and she was good to go.
Of course she was. She's Rachel Lee Cook. But yeah, she's number one of that era for me, of like 90s era crushes. I'll sound like a creep now because she was probably underage at the time, but you know how they did those "This Is Your Brain on Drugs" things with the legs and stuff. Remember her updated one with her?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god! Like, I probably could have like watched that on a loop like porn. Her just like freaking out and smashing stuff and yelling. That nothing got me going like that. Rachel Court's like, "This is what happens to your family and your friends," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, baby, go." But she's probably like 16. She's probably like 16. I'm just saying, back in the day. Yeah. But I love that. That was like the most erotic thing I saw back in the day. What sucks is there was this cool, like, in the early 2000s, there was this, like, there's like a million of them. My sister used to read them, pass them on to me. They were like these teen novels called Fearless, about a chick who was like from a government experiment or whatever, like didn't have fear, and she was also like a crazy like martial arts master, so she was always kicking people's asses and stuff. Anyway, there was they were going to make a show for it, and they made a pilot with Rachel Lee Cook as her, and then the show didn't go forward, which really sucks because she would have been awesome. Like Rachel Lee Cook, I want to see Rachel Lee Cook kicking people's asses.
Like Dark Angel. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, but not enough to really have a sense of who anybody was or got on, what was going on. Just like I did the same thing like Dollhouse Show, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I've never been able to get into Dollhouse. I tried again recently too, and I don't care for it.
I feel like if I had been a bit older, I could have done the stuff Joss Whedon done, only done it better. He and I have some similar sensibilities. I just think I'm a better writer than he is. And I know what you're going to say. He's the one with all the success and stuff, and you're nobody. But I still think I'm a better writer than Joss Whedon. As I said, going back to those days, like the big proof of like how I really didn't watch shows was because one of my huge crushes was Sarah Michelle Gellar. Never watched Buffy, ever, never seen a single episode.
Really?
And I had friends that were like obsessed with it. I know what it was. I know what it was about. I know who was on it. I know all that stuff. I just never actually watched it.
It's a good show.
I like how they just retconned in her sister for her, played by Michelle Trachtenberg or something. Like, yep, she just has a sister. She always had a sister. What? You didn't see? She has a sister.
Yeah. Dawn. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but I forget how that happened. Something to do with evil, with Black Willow may have done that. Or Dark Willow, whatever the hell her name was.
I think Katie Holmes retired from acting.
I think she did too.
I mean, they have their own reasons, and But some of those actresses, I think I think they'd rather be remembered as young and pretty than do roles. I mean, Cameron Diaz is retired. That's fine. Again, you have the money.
Oh, she retired? I didn't realize that.
She retired ages ago. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it has
This
nothing to do
guy.
with like wanting to be young and pretty. I'm just saying, like, I do respect actresses that are like, they're older now and they're going to take different kinds of roles.
I think this guy's running the whole show.
Yeah, they're spying on him. Yeah, because he's trying to sell this whole like program of excellence or something. But actually, it's like some weird drug or brainwashing.
Yes, Ben. That's exactly what she did. I was trying to think. I knew I'd seen her in something.
Who's in that? Holmes?
Katie Holmes, yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. I saw the first Boy movie. Maybe I should watch it.
That's the chick from The Walking Dead is in that one.
I don't know anybody from that except for Daryl. He's constantly in my Twitter feed because he's friends with Hideo Kojima.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, yeah. I mean, he's the star of that game, Death Stranding. So anyway, pretty much anything he does gets like retweeted by Hideo Kojima, so I'm always seeing it. Can't even remember his name, but I know that.
Norman Reedus.
Yeah, Reedus. I mean, it's cool when creative people hook up on friends. I love that like Norman Reedus and Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro are all like friends that hang out. It's pretty cool.
Talk about an odd group of people. Or an odd group of people to be together. I mean,
What sucks is that thing that he and Del Toro did for fucking Silent Hill never went forward. Like I didn't get to play P2 or whatever it was called, P9, P7 or
yeah, whatever happened with that? Never didn't turn into a game.
No. And also you can't get it. Like
Right.
if you didn't buy it like while it was there, you don't get it. So like
Yeah,
I don't know. For years, like people were like selling PS4s that had it built into it for like a ton of money.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, I've watched it, so I mean, I don't need to play it. But
you know what I've seen now? People selling like iPhones with the Twitter icon, not the X. You know, it's got the.
How do you keep it from changing?
I guess don't let it update.
Oh. Okay, who cares that much about a fucking icon?
Exactly.
Plus, we still all just call it Twitter anyway, and they can say I'm reposting all they want. I'm retweeting. Tweeting, damn it! I'm not posting. I'm tweeting.
Hey, send that to me over on X.
Yeah.
It just sounds stupid. I mean, not that Twitter sounds any better.
I mean, Twitter sounds dumb, but you get used to it, right?
I'm used to it.
X is just the most generic thing ever. Like that's like almost the point of X. Oh, so do they reprogram somebody?
Oh, they got installed, didn't they?
Oh yeah, he ran away. He was mad at him for not believing him, and he took his gun away or something. And are they ever gonna? Man, they're dragging this out. This reaction.
Who is it?
See the person.
What does he look like, and who is it?
So so they got him and reprogrammed him.
Oh, hello, gents.
Oh, there's Albino.
Oh yeah, you saw it.
Oh wow, Katie Holmes definitely looks like a Rachel too. Okay, James Marsden needs to change his name to Steve. She needs to change her name to Rachel because they both look way more like those names than their actual names. Sluts need not apply.
Oh.
Try saying slut in a high school today. See what happens.
Imagine a 6'4" transgendered person will beat the crap out of you, I don't know what happens.
That's too raw too. It's probably more like you're just like in a sit down with like 20 adults.
What are they publicly shame you?
It's pretty interesting. They're telling you not to slut shame by shaming you.
What are you gonna do? He was walking up like he was gonna do something, but
Yeah.
no.
I do like
I
the
mean, he
weird
just like walked up with his arms down, like he just walked into him.
Whoa, there we go, chair. Now you're getting somewhere.
There we go.
Albino cannot fight.
Come on, albino.
Their blood's too thin. I mean, he tried. I don't even know what they started fighting about. I missed.
I think it was because of Katie Holmes. Remember they called her a slut or something?
Oh, they're still part of that. And he said, "Oh man, this is a long delay. We shall overcome, Stephen." Oh, that's even worse. Okay, I get that he's like a janitor and stuff, but he looks like he's been down in a fucking coal mine. You see that? They've got like.
Yeah, every scene he's in, he's covered with
I mean, come on.
soot.
The school is not over a fucking salt mine.
Like fucking Mike Rowe over here.
Oh, they said retard. There's another one.
Oh, he said it. Hard
say that
R.
in high school.
Hard R. Say that in high school now. They'd publicly execute you.
Yeah.
You probably would get expelled or something, though. I don't know. Whatever's harsh punishment now.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know. It's all like in school suspension now. Something like that.
What does that even mean? Oh, there. He's got a vest and everything. He's part of the in crowd. It is pretty funny. It's like, my friend turned into a 50s stereotype.
Would you like to have a malted? We're going to have a malted.
I'm at the chocolate shop with Pops. Speaking of which, my sister watches the Riverdale show, which I hear is all kinds of insanity.
Oh, really?
Like
is that
every
over?
single, maybe.
It's been on for a while.
If it's over by now, apparently they've done like every single thing you can think of you can do in a show.
Really?
Why they chose to do it with those characters, I don't know. What, now you're bullying him? Come on, leave this crazed janitor alone. Janitor, exterminator, miner, I don't know. Rats everywhere. Like, he's lost it. He thinks everybody's around. It's like, you're a 6-foot rat. I'll kill you. I mean, I can believe it, though. Like, speaking of my early... So, my second year of journalism, we had to do this sort of assignment where, like, we had to, like, find somebody on campus and, like, sort of do a story on them or some shit. And I didn't do anything interesting. I found somebody that I knew from my childhood, actually. I won't get into it, but I knew the family, and they're sort of like the premier hockey family from where I'm from in Sydney. And that family actually lived right across the street from my grandparents, where my mother grew up. But anyway, that's the Josephs. You can look them up. Fabian's the most famous one. He played for Canada at the Olympics in 92 and 94. He was the captain in 94. But anyway, his brother Blair, who just died a couple months ago, actually, which is really sad because he wasn't that old. But anyway, he was coaching Dal's hockey team at the time, so I did him. But anyway, my friend Sam, he found this guy who was like an exterminator that Dal had hired to like get rid of rats, and he was like everybody's insane as you think a person like that might be. Like, I wish I could remember some of the stuff that Sam told me. Like, he had to shadow this guy and follow him around. And this guy was, like, out of his mind with his weird opinions and worldview and all this stuff. Like, clearly the job had driven him mad. It's pretty funny.
Wow.
Where are you going, Steven? Calm down, Steven. So now they're, like, chasing him through the woods.
Man, this escalated quickly.
Shit got real.
We've got to go somewhere and have a montage where we make weapons or power up or something. Something
So this is
cool.
like some sort of weird. It's almost like Stepford Wives.
Yeah, exactly.
With like high school students.
Yeah.
And I'll say it for the 28th time. I like Get Out, but Get Out is Stepford Wives, people.
Yeah.
So, get over yourselves. And it, like, at least Us was kind of. Us is weird, and if you think too hard about it, its plot falls apart. But at least it's somewhat original.
Exactly. That's the same thing I said.
And I know you like Nope, but I don't like Nope. I thought Nope was I thought it was actually bad. Like,
I thought that was okay.
I just thought he was just throwing stuff at the wall at that point. Nothing seemed to really make sense. And I couldn't stand the main character. I know I went on that too. The main character is like one of the most passive motherfuckers I've ever seen in a movie.
It is weird. Yeah.
At the
They go
very
out of
end,
their way. Yeah.
at the very end, a switch comes on. He's like, "Yeah, we got to do this." But 90% of the movie, he does everything he can to not do anything and avoid everything and to have no personality and no reaction. It's crazy. Like, I feel sorry for that actor. It's like, play the blankest, blandest motherfucker you can. Like, don't react to anything. You don't have emotions. Your only emotion is you want to go away from here.
I would have liked to have seen him and his dad without the sister and the guy from the Last Fries on Earth. You know, Fries was already out of business when the movie came out, right?
No. I don't even know what that is. Is that the...
That was the whatever the
electronics
appliance store that he
Yeah,
worked
that
at.
store. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a real place. I thought that was made up.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Her programming's making her all horny. That's not right. Oh!
No, they're not supposed to do that. You got a problem with your model there, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're not supposed to do that at all.
Yeah. They don't do this in movies anymore either.
Well, they wouldn't. I mean, he's not being the aggressor.
Well, we talked. There's just been a decline in nudity in general.
I think people are so afraid to even touch subjects like that now that they just don't even have it in the movies. You know? Like shows, though. I haven't watched this. Is it
Yeah, there's more nudity. It's weird. There's less nudity in movies and more in shows.
Euphoria? Have you heard of that show? That's the one everybody's been on about for a while.
I know. It's like high school kids getting it on.
Which it sounds weird to me.
This is what I remember
concept.
pretty well. Well, I mean, it's not a new idea. It's always, in real life, high school is 90-10% boring, and the drama is kind of stupid. But in shows, high school students live ridiculously crazy, complicated lives.
Right.
They're not just like selling drugs like an ordinary high school. Like they're getting involved with drug cartels and stuff, and like I don't know. Just like crazy high level shit, and not suddenly high school kids are involved in all. They're like,
well, in shows like school's fun, like it's just hanging out the whole time basically.
I mean, my earliest view of high school was Saved by the Bell. I was just like, high school's gonna be awesome because all they did was hang out and do some cool stuff.
Wait, where's the place with the milkshakes around here, guys?
Yeah, well, doesn't exist.
He
at
does
all.
magic.
It hasn't in decades, if ever. As I said many times, especially like living where I live. Like I only saw 2 versions of high school, and neither existed for me. There was the clean-cut, awesome, rich school place that had super clean, and all the students were rich and drove their own cars, and had a nurse's office and security cameras and security guards, and then there was the opposite side, which was like some hellhole. Speaking of which, I have no idea why I did this because I hate the man. But I watched a fucking Jim Belushi movie called The Principal a few days ago, where he becomes the principal of a high school like that. And if you think it's a comedy, it is not. It is 100% played straight. Like, his high school is a hellhole controlled by crime and gangs, and he has to fight against it. Jim Belushi! And I mean, it's about as 1987 as something can get, because it's like, who else is in there? Is there a black person? There is a black person. Well, who could that black person be? It's and of course I can't remember names again, but it will come to me.
Here I was in like the fourth grade, like, man, I can't wait to hang out at the
It's
Peach
Lou
Pit.
Gossett Jr. Lou Gossett Jr. was the black guy.
Oh, the principal?
Yeah.
Oh, Jim Belushi.
Yeah, Jim Belushi. Not John. Oh, I didn't hate John Belushi. Like most people, I like John Belushi.
That's a good movie, The Principal. I like that movie.
Like I said, I was surprised it was quite watchable.
Yeah.
Ray Dawn Chon's in there. She's a confusing person.
She's good.
But that movie, like, I kept expecting like there to be like comedic elements to it, and it just kept getting darker and more serious. I was like,
oh yeah, no, it's not comedic.
Because I was just like, I thought Jim Belushi's whole deal was comedy, even though he sucks at it. But yeah.
People would argue with you. I mean, I wouldn't, but.
About Jim Belushi? Who the fuck likes Jim Belushi?
It was that fucking family comedy, like the fucking, the George, what's his name? I can't remember. It's like the stupid ass family shows, you know.
Again, look at this. This guy's about to rape Katie Holmes, and this guy's just like watching. You're a trashy tattooed love doll. Where are the tattoos? I don't see any tattoos. Well, I guess if you have one, that's enough back in the day. I mean, it's true. When you're in high school, at least that's one thing I do remember from my high school. Like our yearbook had like a page dedicated to like the students that had tattoos to show their tattoos, because that shows like most students, their parents weren't going to let them get tattoos. I got tattoos, but not in high school. It was a couple years later.
Yeah.
So my parents wouldn't have let me.
What? How old do you have to be to get them there?
I guess 18. If you mean without parental.
And so you would have to get parental.
Yeah, parental position. Which is obviously what these people did. And that was my point. So I don't know how many people there were, but it wasn't many. So there was.
My parents never would have agreed. I had to wait till I turned 18.
I was 22 when I got the usage of my first.
Those have so 22. The colors held up pretty well in those.
Not really the yellow. The yellow's really faded.
Wait, where's the yellow?
Yeah, that's what I mean. See, they're not just blue and red. These are blue with yellow inside, and these are red. It's a double line, and you really can't see the yellow.
I've been watching a lot of this Ink Master show.
I mean, yellow is a typical color, I guess. I don't know. I think I have a beautiful. I should get more tattoos. I'm so white. I'm so white. Colors show up so nicely on me.
I always hear people say stuff like certain colors don't go in don't hold well for periods of time in certain kinds of skin, stuff like that.
It's true, I think. I mean, I've heard enough of it to think there must be some truth to it. So I've heard it too.
Well, I think there's a lot of stuff you just can't prevent, like just like general bleeding over time. You know?
Well, that's why I kind of avoid certain areas. I mean, we've talked about tattoos before. By this point, there's several that I've had on the back burner for years that I never got around to.
It's like a lot of things.
I don't have a small handful of tattoos. Like, I mean, people ask me, "You have tattoos?" I'm always embarrassed. I'm like, I do, but they're really minimalist and boring. Yeah. You know, I don't have anything cool. You're like, why wouldn't you? It's because I don't know. I'm not that visual. Like I said, 2 reasons. 1, I'm not that visual, and 2, like as much as I admire those types of tattoos, they're just not for me. Like they look cool on other people. I don't think they look cool on me. I'm a big
It'd be
comic book
nice
guy.
to.
Why don't you have like some, why don't you have like a Todd McFarlane or Neil Adams statue? It's just like, I don't know. It looks cool, but I don't think,
That'd be
I think
cool.
I would just eventually regret it.
The problem is, man, for you to find somebody that you trusted to do something like that, it would be really expensive.
And that's the
Yeah.
other thing. My
I
tattoo.
mean, there's plenty of people that can do it, but there's probably a lot of people that say they can do it and can't.
Oh, look, he left them like a video message before they got.
Look, I don't have any desire to kill myself.
Aren't you just copying from Scream 3?
I don't want to harm
Or
myself.
no, you're not, because Scream 3 came out after this. So Scream 3 copied this. In Scream 3, they found that Randy had left a video for in case he got killed, which he did in Scream 2. People
Yeah.
Keep an eye on UV for me. Holy shit, that's a limb lifter poster. I know where this was shot. This was definitely shot in Vancouver, too.
Yeah.
Fucking limb lifter? I don't think too many Americans know limb lifter.
I've heard the name. I couldn't tell you a song, though.
Tinfoil. That's a good one. They had two hits, really. Tinfoil and Wake Up to the Sun. I saw them in Halloween 2004 on a bill with Melissa Oftermer's band called Oftemer. If you don't remember who Melissa Oftemer was, she was the bassist of the Smashing Pumpkins after they fired Darcy.
Oh, yeah.
And Matthew Good. He was the head bill. That's still the best Halloween I probably ever had. Was going to that show back in 2004. What's funny, it was only 2004, and by then I didn't even know Limb Lifter. I thought Limb Lifter had broken up before that, but there they were, dressed as ghosts.
So speaking of music, this had a pretty killer soundtrack.
Well, I see them out on it looks like they're in the Pacific Northwest, huh? I'm guessing. So maybe that's why they would know Limb Lifter. I guess if you lived around somewhere in Washington, you'd probably know Limb Lifter because they're from Vancouver.
I don't even remember where they're supposed to be. Yeah.
Well, it looks like I said, it looks like somewhere in Washington, if I had to guess.
But the
something.
the big song on this one was "Got You Where I Want You."
Who's that?
By the Flies.
I probably would recognize it, but I don't remember.
Got you where I want you.
What I really remember is Idle Hands had Flagpole Sit-Up, and that was fucking everywhere in '98.
Flagpole Sit-Up was in a few movies.
I think it was first Idle Hands, which was the same year as this movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this Funk Junkies on the soundtrack.
Changed her hair? Maybe
Did
not.
she just take it down or let it down?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're doing some investigating, but I don't know where they are. They took the ferry to go somewhere. Maybe this is where they did the experiments or something.
The ferry.
Okay, Flagpole Sit-Up was on this one, so maybe that's what I'm thinking. Because I was thinking, I think doesn't even the video have stuff from this on Flagpole Sit-Up? I can't remember. It's funny, at least you guys know, because a lot of people, they know the song, but they don't know that's the title, which is one of the reasons, the record company was mad at the band.
I don't like the title at all. It doesn't seem like that should be the title, does it?
I mean, I think it is a part of a line of the song, but most people are like, "I'm not sick, but I'm not well." That's not the title.
That's a great song.
Harvey Danger. Paranoia, everybody. I was about to try to take a drink out of my microphone. Can't drink my microphone. I'm just thirsty. I'm so thirsty. Oh, this place isn't closed down. This is like an asylum, and they're just allowed to wander around in it. That's pretty cool. 2 random high school students are just wandering around on the floor in the asylum.
Yeah, I know. And
the asylum looks like it's like the 40s.
But we're not regulated. Yeah.
This movie's got such a mishmash of styles. It's like a 90s high school with 50s people, and I guess this could be a 50s asylum as much as a 40s asylum. There's a joke in Family Guy where they try to visit an asylum, and it's a 50s asylum.
I think asylums exist anymore, do they?
They would use that term.
Not in that sense.
No. I mean, at least not around here. There's probably some backwards countries that still have stuff like this. I bet.
You know, we just don't throw like 25-year-old women in prison.
I feel like
because they
if
don't
you
wanna
go
get
to
married
like,
or something.
I mean, not to be like sound like a xenophobic jerk, but I bet you if you go to like some Balkans country or like Romania or something, they've got asylums that are still like this old shit, where they just lock people up and I don't know, maybe zap their brains.
There definitely needs to be a place for people like that to go. Like now in America, at least, they go to prison for the most part because I don't know. They don't focus a lot on mental illness sometimes.
I mean, the U.S. has lots of mental health facilities.
We have mental health facilities.
Oh, is this it? There it
Yeah,
is. There's the song.
I can hear it. Yeah. I can hear it through your TV.
Yeah, I just turned it up. Yeah. So it was probably, maybe it wasn't Idle Hands. Maybe it was just this one. I was just mixing this up with Idle Hands.
I don't remember that in Idle Hands. It very well could be in there, though.
No, I think I was just mixing it up. It was this. Idle Hands looked a lot like this movie. They looked a lot alike.
You know, I bet you a lot of people couldn't tell you that he was the dude in this. Like, James Marsden was the main guy.
I couldn't have told you. I
know.
I remembered Nick Stahl. I didn't remember him, even though he's the main guy.
Yeah, I knew Nick Stahl.
I knew Nick Stahl and I knew Katie Holmes.
Yeah.
But not
he's almost like just generic white dude, right?
That's kind of been his thing, James Marsden. He's kind of a generic, but pretty boy kind of type. But his parts are all kind of bland.
Did you ever get to the part of The Office where Clark Duke and Nate or I forget the other guy's name, but anyway, the two guys come in, the interns, and they look just like Dwight and Jim.
Yeah, I remember that guy. The kid with the glasses you're talking about.
And eventually,
I've seen every episode of The Office except the last one, but I've only seen most of them once because I didn't rewatch any of it. So
this is like after Andy had all his bullshit on the boat. You remember that he finally got together with Aaron, then his parents went broke or whatever, so he went on that long trip with his brother on the boat when he was filming Hangover 2 or 3.
I don't know.
So that's why he wasn't actually in the show. But anyway,
I can't remember most characters' names.
She was tired of his bullshit, so she was Pete. That was his name. So she was fucking around with Pete the whole time. Anyway, fuck. My point of saying that, this dude looks like Pete, James Marsden. Do you remember what that guy looked like?
No.
Oh, man.
Or you mean the documentary guy?
No.
Oh, then no. It's been too long. I can't remember when I watched The Office. It was like 6 or 7 years ago.
He called him Plop or something like that. Yeah. Oh man.
It's very little I remember. I remember collages and things. I mean, I remember some of the plot elements. Obviously, the big one was the girl was dating the dock worker guy, but then she eventually started dating Jim and Mary.
Oh yeah.
That was the big one. Jim and Pam. She was dating the jerk. He was a bit of a jerk, and then she started dating. That was the big plot point. Other ones were, of course, Michael eventually left and started his own company, and Pam went with him. I remember that. Often on shows, there's usually some sort of change in a show that's really temporary and doesn't last, and then it goes back to normal. That's often the part of the show I enjoy the most. And in The Office, it was that Jim was in love with Pam, but she was with the other guy, and he was upset, so he moved to Pittsburgh or somewhere and went to a different office. And I
No,
liked those episodes.
he kissed her,
Yeah.
and then she said, "I can't do this" or something like that.
She's
And
gonna marry the
that's
other
when
guy.
he left. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked those episodes. I liked it that it split the focus because now there were two different offices. I kind of liked that. And when he came, some of the guys from that office came.
Yeah.
The annoying guy and stuff. But some of them, actually, they all came, but some of them left because they realized Michael was insane.
I think Andy was the only one that was there at the end
Yeah, Andy.
from the Stanford branch.
But I really liked what's her name. I thought she was so pretty. And of course, that's the other thing. I never agree with shipping on any show or anything ever. And once again, I liked him with Jones or whatever her name was way more than with Pam. But,
Rashida?
yeah, Rashida Jones. I thought she was really cool and awesome and much more attractive and stuff. But instead, I just never agree with shipping ever. I guess. And what do I know? I'm 40 and I'm single. So what the fuck do I know about relationships, I guess? But these are fake ones. They're not real. They're fictional. I don't think Harry Potter should have married Ginny. It made no sense to me that Harry Potter married Ginny Weasley. No fucking sense at all.
It's touchy, man, because, initially you just got that one, you've got the flirty receptionist or whatever, but in this world, we've got to keep going. They get married. She has to turn into the mom, and, Rashida Jones, obviously, super attractive lady, they probably,
And Scott Pilgrim, he threw knives aside to get with Ramona. That made no sense to me. So, I mean, I never understand shipping in anything.
I wonder if Rashida Jones left the office just to go do Parks and Rec. Or,
She was on that? Wow. So she was on both shows. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's around the same time on the same network, so I'm assuming that maybe they were just like, because the first season of Parks and Rec, I don't remember if Rashida Jones was on it or not, but they totally scrapped a lot of that shit. They got rid of a bunch of characters for season 2 and changed everything on the show, and it got a lot better.
I had no idea she was on that show. What's funny is I used to watch a cop show with Rashida Jones, but I don't know what happened to it. It disappeared. It was kind of like
I don't know.
It was kind of like Naked Gun type thing. It was just a nonsense world.
It's a show?
Yeah, it was a show. Rashida Jones was a cop, and it was like a nonsense world. It was like I said, Naked Gun. It wasn't like a normal world. It was full of weird, random cartoon bullshit. And I used to watch that because I liked her. It was kind of hit and miss with its humor. I have no idea what it was called, and I forgot about it until this very second. But they've been captured, and they're going to be brainwashed. I assume something has to happen, but who can save them? The rat catcher?
Well, I hate to break it up, man, but I think I'm going to have to take off.
Okay, well, there's not much left in this movie, so I might as well finish the movie. So this guy's going to monologue and explain why his evil plan is necessary, I suppose. Anyway, good stuff. There, we gave some people some extra content on this one.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for putting up with us with this little impromptu.
Ben just said it. Angie Tribeca. That's the name of the show.
Oh, no idea.
Everything. But yeah,
no idea.
I probably didn't last long. Might have only been one season or something like that. But I wonder if I can find it again because I don't really remember it. It was unique because they don't really make shows like that anymore. A show like Naked Gun.
I have to look it up.
I got like for that.
Don't think I've heard of it.
Oh, it was the weird brainwashing.
But yeah, hopefully we'll be back with more Pocket Dimension shows. And
yeah, we do mean to revive that. I just have to sort through some things, and it's gotten kind of out of hand and taken way longer than I thought it originally would take. But that show is not dead, people. If anybody's watching, we do mean to revive that and get it going again, and that's
definitely
on me. Definitely. And yeah, we'll get some other stuff. I just knew it was going to be a long night for me. I was going to be up anyway, so
yeah.
So I managed to.
But on that note, guys, have a good one. We'll see you next time.
All right. Peace out. Bye bye.